Good day, fret friends. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Victor. I am fret friend in the UK, based out of Nottingham in England, specifically Kirkby and Ashfield. I was born in Sherwood, which if you're not an Englishman, you may have heard of Sherwood being the place where Robin Hood resided. So there you go. But anyway, very special day today, in as much as I'm welcoming some old friends, specifically people at the Hamer fan club. Because I've got a guitar from one of our members, a guy called Dave, based out in Wales, and he has, I think, the guitar, I'm not sure what the guitar is, it a Centura or a Chaparral, I'm not quite sure, but it's coming for a refret, and it wants a lot more than a refret. It wants a Floyd Rose fit in. We're going to drag the posts out and everything, but this is coming through a contact at the Hamer fan club, of which I've been a member for, I don't know how many years, 10 years, whatever. I've been a Hamer fan since I first discovered Hamer guitars in 1984 at Folds Music in Nottingham. I could never afford one for a long time. Eventually I did get a couple of Hamers. I've had a few imports, but specifically American ones. I had a 91 Centura I bought from a guy called Bruce 919 at the Hamer fan club. Is his name Matt? Not sure. I paid for it. Tree Fitter. I paid for that, $350. And I had a 1988 Californian original one, first year of release, which I unfortunately had to let go at some time because I was short of cash, but two fantastic guitars. But anyway, less about those, more about this. I have a box on the table. It's just come, arrived by courier. I have not opened the box, so I'm going to open the box on camera. And I'm just going to take a blade, cut off the string. But anyway, this guitar wants a lot of work. Dave, the guy who owns this guitar, asked on the Hamer fan club the other week if there's any UK luthiers or guitar techs could help him out with his guitar. And I piped up on there, and yes, I'm the kind of person you need to talk to. Ah, right, all these strings are cut in. So he talked to me, and he obviously liked the cut of my jib, and we talked for a while, and he sent the guitar to me. And I know it needs a refret, which I'm more than happy to do. Fret friend, I do many refrets. Necks and frets are my specialty, I imagine, but I don't specifically have one specialty. I like to think that I have many strings to my bow, and anything regarding guitars, setting up, customising, modifying, whatever I can do, barring paintwork. I do not have the facilities, the space or the equipment to do paint or refinish work. I do source that out somewhere else. Anyway, let's have a look at the guitar. So look how to open the box. I'm thinking if I go somewhere like, let's see, because I've got to keep this because it's going to go back. Chances are I can source a better box than this, but you know, I'll keep it intact just in case I do need to use it again. So let's just cut that tape, see where we are. Let's make a grand job of wrapping this up. Original Hamer case, this will be by the looks of it. Absolutely is, yes. Very good. He's made a fantastic job of wrapping this. So, let's try and get the case out of the box. I might have put it on the floor. If it went in, it will come out. He sent this via iPost Parcels, which are a company out of England. Now owned by DHL. Everyone's heard of DHL. I use this company all of the time. I used to use UPS, but they got so expensive, I decided I'm not using them anymore. Anyway, let's have a look inside the case. This is basically going to be a box opening. Oh, look at that, beautiful. 3 mini toggles on there. It's a chap, isn't it? Definitely a chap. Right, so that's brilliant. Wow, what an absolute beauty. What a treat. Let me just make some room here. Move my phone out of the way, because I'm just going to lift this guitar out of the way because we're going to move it over a real Hamer case. Okay, so this is the kind of guitar I'd imagine Charvel Grover Jackson based their Model 2s and Model 4s on. We have 3 mini toggles. Wow, what a guitar. Look at that. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. I'm wondering why it wants a refret, because that doesn't really need one. It's got some fret wear, but means it's here. I am going to refret it. Now then, Fret wire on this is gold. So what I'm going to do is, I'm glad I've not bought the fret wire, because I'm going to go with Jescar Gold Evo, or Evo Gold fret wire on this. What a beautiful guitar. We are swapping out the Floyd Rose. Look at that. How beautiful is that? Best super strats ever, Hamers. I have had a Chaparral, a Centura, sorry, and a Californian, and I loved both of them. And the Centura was a great guitar, but the Californian was something else. Mine was in a ice blue sparkle finish. Was it ice blue? Sure, it was ice blue. Oh, this is beautiful. It has an original Floyd Rose on there, so the Hamer stamped one would have gone somewhere. 3 springs in the back. There is a box of goodies also come with this guitar. Gold fret wire, I did not know that. So this, I would imagine, has already been refretted at some point. Yeah, it has. And this has been refretted badly, and I will show you why. Wow, that's pretty sad. Because the fret wire has gone in terribly. If I can bring to your attention the area right above my index finger there. I'll get as close as I can without smacking the window or the wall. Above my index finger, see how the frets have gone in? They actually went in bent, they didn't go in flat at all. So whoever hammered them in wrong. We are going to hammer them in at this end until we get to around about 14th fret. The rest I'm going to press in. So, wow, really quite sad there. But we will sort that out. We will pull these frets. We will, basically, I will re-radius the fingerboard. I imagine it's going to be a 12-inch radius. I can just check that. There certainly won't be any problems with me refretting this. We do have a lacquered guitar with paint, but I will avoid cutting into the lacquer. Anyway, let's get a 12-inch radius on the job. We'll just check it. I'm sure it's going to be 12-inch. Pickups wise, I don't know what they are at the moment. If they were original slammers, that would be fantastic. Right, we are a 12-inch radius. That is beautiful. Oh, we're not a compound radius, are we? No, we're not. We're 12-inch radius, all up and down. All being well, we'll have a 12-inch radius at the Floyd Rose, which we seem to do. That's fantastic. So the setup on the guitar looks really, really good. There is no way I will be ripping this to pieces and working on it until I've had it plugged in and I've had a little tinkle about, just for old time's sake. Frets on this, they have glue spillage all over. They are not in bad at all. Let me just do a quick fret level check. We'll check the action and everything while we're here. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to slightly move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. But this basically is an introduction to the guitar. And for most of you, or for a lot of it, it'll be an introduction to me. I've been fully self-employed now for only, this is my 3rd month fully self-employed. This is now my full-time job. And I'm doing okay. So let's have a look at the guitar. Scale length, we'll be looking at 25.5 inches surely. No, we're not. Oh my goodness. 20, oh no, this might even be custom. That's going to be 25 inch. Very surprising. I'm going to guess it's 25 inch. I was not expecting that. I was expecting 25.5. I can't really do it with this piece of kit because I've got the nut on there. But this is it 25? No, it's not. Wow, it's amazing. It's not a 25 either. It can't be a 24 surely. I will have to get back in touch with Dave and ask him what scale length this is. Let me check again. 25.5? Absolutely not. Shorter. 24. Okay. I have absolutely no idea what scale length this is. Is it less than 24? More than 24. 24.5. Let's go and have a look at 24.5. We're very fortunate that I have some custom made, not straight edges, and this one is a 24.5. Let's have a look. That's brilliant. It is a 24.5-inch scale length. Look at that. Whoa, you got me there. Right, there's far too much relief in that neck. So checking the fret right now is not really feasible, because there is almost, I would say, about 0.7 millimeters relief under the 9th fret on that guitar. I'll soon tell you. Let's go with, I guess, at 0.6. Fret 9. Oh no, it's not that high. That's good. Certainly more than I would like. I would like to see under the 9th fret a 1/4 of a millimeter, or 0.25 millimeters. I have no idea what that is in inches that the Americans use. We don't use imperial over here in England. We use millimeters. We went metric with the rest of the world. Just a little dig there. 1.4. Okay, not as much relief as I thought, but certainly more than I would have myself. Let's make that right a liar here. I think it's about 0.3 millimeters. Yeah, 0.3 millimeters there. Okay, a little bit higher. And I thought actually looks more than it is. So a little bit more relief than I would like to see. 24-inch scale length, beautiful. Fret wire, definitely gold Evo fret wire. That's not kept tuned very well, has it? It's going to get nowhere near. So, tuners are miles out. A good thing about that is the locking tuners are loose. I can already hear fret buzz everywhere. Let's just check these frets with the strings on as it is. Now this is going to be basically an introduction cum appraisal video, and these aren't going to be straight anyway, I don't think, not with relief from the neck, but I will loosen the strings. I'm not going to plug it in. Dare I plug it in? Should I plug it in? I'd love to plug it in, let me tell you. I've got a beautiful new clean amp down there. I've got loads, I've built a new pedal board. I've got an Ignata tweaker combo amp in here, 15 watt. It is absolutely beautiful. So those frets are saying they're pretty much level. I'm going to call Dave on my telephone in a minute and ask him what he wants me to do with this fret wire. Does he want me to use any? I've just started using Syntom's Elite, which is harder than most fret wires. I've been using 18% nickel silver for the past 3 or 4 years, either Hosco brand or Syntom's. Jescar on a few occasions, depending on what the client has asked for. But it's much easier for me to get Syntom's and Hosco, and it costs me about £15 to refret a guitar fret wire. That in American dollars, for those of you who are American, would be roughly $20 for a fret wire. That's a delivered price. But I've been using Syntom's for a while, which is Belarusian, really good fret wire, and they have just come out with an Elite fret wire, which is 25% nickel silver. Now the last 4 fret jobs I've done, I've used with that wire, and it is fantastic. And it is not, it's getting up towards the strength of, or the hardness of Evo Gold. Probably a bit harder than Evo Gold, not as hard as stainless, but yet you can still work it with regular tools. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have great tools and great files. I've always bought good gear. And it is not too hard wearing on my tools anyway, so I really like using it, and it doesn't add much time to the whole job. So I've only just increased my fretting prices from £160 for a refret to £175. That is the start price. That does not include fret wire, doesn't include strings, doesn't include a nut, but it does include a setup. I will do a cut and nut for your guitar free with a fret job, but this fret job in particular is going to cost, we're going to look in the region of £250 for this one, because I'm going to go, I've got a tremolo to install, I've got to take the studs and posts out. So I've gone worst case scenario to about 250 quid. That's including the whole refret, complete setup, installing a new tremolo. If we have to do any routing in there, we will do. I'm sure we'll have to. It should be just a drop in. But for now, that is just about it. I want to get into the case and look at all the new bits. Which, here we go. Right, original Truss. So let's have a look and see what is in the case, what new bits we do have. Because Dave was waiting for a new tremolo to arrive, and here we do. And it is, again, it's an original one. Rose. Let me just move this camera again. And I think just about there should do it. You can see enough there. How's that boys and girls? So we have a brand new Floyd Rose. What do you say about the posts? I cannot see any posts. Here are the posts. I have a zoo locking knot. I do not see any posts. Let's remove my glasses. Let me check the bag again. The box. Don't see any posts in there. I'm sure he said he wanted me to change out the post. Okay, well there aren't any in there. So I will get in touch with him. This Floyd Rose is going to be a drop-in. I don't see why I swapped the Floyd Rose over. Because it's exactly the same as the one coming out. There's no difference. Nice steel block, 32mm. Blah, 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 blah. Did he say we wanted to swap out the 37mm? I think there's a 37mm on there. We will swap that out. I wonder what he meant with the posts, because he said to me he wanted these screw posts out and some normal ones put in, but there are no normal ones. You do have the rear locking knot. I wonder what he wants to do with this Floyd Rose. Okay, so that is it really. That is the appraisal. There's certainly enough meat on these frets to just level and re-profile these frets, but then again it's still going to cost a lot of money because they do need a lot of work. They are flattened out a lot of areas, and it may not want gold frets, so I'm going to assume we're going to rip these frets out and refret it anyway. Nice big jumbo frets. I would say they are about 2.8mm wide. Let's have a look. There's certainly a jumbo size. Get my electric calipers out. Bear with me a second, boys and girls, won't be long. It's certainly on the jumbo side of things. Now, the thing with that is, if any bigger than 2.8, we're going to have to go with 18% nickel silver, because I can't get 25% in 3mm. I think I may be able to get 2.9. These look really big. These are probably going to be 3mm, are they? Oh, brilliant. Praise the Lord. They are, those frets are 2.7. It being a Jescar size. Let's go and see what we got. We've got 2.72 on my caliper there. Try that one. 2.74. So 272. Go about 27. Let's get on 274 there and let's look in. So that is 0.108 inches. 7/64. Now, those of you who are American would know 0.108 as an inch measurement. I wouldn't. To me, that is 2.75mm. So I'm going to replace these with 2.8, which is fantastic because I can get Sinton's 25% nickel silver in 2.8 width, 1.4 high, which is brilliant. Like to go high, me. That way we can have the strings closer to the first fret. And also, with being 1.4mm high, it will give us 2 or maybe even 3 redressers somewhere down the line. Now 25% nickel silver, even as a heavy player, should still give you a bare minimum of 10-15 years, even as a heavy player. And if you want to redress somewhere down the line, you can get 1 or 2 redressers out of there. Certainly get it all the way down to no lower than 0.8mm, and you're going to be absolutely fan-dabby-dozer. So yeah, brilliant stuff. So 2.8mm, perfect. I'm going to go online. I'm not going to go online. I'm going to call Dave in a minute. Just zero that out, off. See what he wants to do about these studs, because he didn't want these screw studs. He wanted the Allen key ones putting in, and I can't seem to find any in the guitar case. I will look in the box and I'll look everywhere else. Did he forget to put them in? I would certainly have thought when you buy a Floyd Rose that you do get the post and the inserts with it. He did mention he wanted new post putting in there. If he doesn't want new post putting in there, it's going to considerably bring the price of the job down a little bit. I will be checking the electrics. I imagine these are just pickups. They've got 3 selections on each. So is it going to bring them in and out of phase? I have absolutely no idea. Is it on, off, on? Certainly not an on. I'll have to go do some digging, do some research on this. So this is going to be quite a long project. It's certainly not anything I'm going to rush. I will at the very earliest not be touching this guitar until sometime next week. We are on Wednesday afternoon. It is about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Wednesday the 31st of July, year of our Lord 2019. This certainly will not be going on the bench until probably next Wednesday, all being well. I've got quite a lot of things up there on the board. I have at least 4 guitars in. One needs a refret. I've got two new clients coming in this week, and I have another guitar coming in tomorrow, and I have one half finished. I also have 2 ready to go out. One's just been collected. So as you can see, this time of year I am very busy, which is great because the weather in England lately has been awful. Though we did have a heat wave last week, we hit record temperatures, 39 Celsius for England, which is hottest it's ever been, which was good. But we had nothing but rain this week, and heavy rain and floods, which is fantastic. But the rain keeps me in, keeps me working, and I have no complaints. So beautiful guitar. Really looking forward to working on it. I need to talk to the owner. I'm going to send him this video. I'm also going to post this little clip of a video on the Hamer Fan Club webpage. It will go on my YouTube channel, and in the end it will be included in the whole video. I will do this as one whole long video in time once I've got all the bits done. It's probably going to be a 2-hour affair. I hope it's going to be fun. But thanks for watching, thanks for being interested. I hope you stay tuned, and let's do this guitar justice, and I'll be back soon. How's that? Hey guys, so just to clarify something, I don't know what happened in all the confusion at the HFC. There's a big debate going on about the scale length of this Hamer Chaparral, and I think I mistakenly pulled up with it's 24 inch and I've measured it. Well, that was completely wrong. It's 24 and a half, and I knew it was 24 and a half all along, and I think someone else said that, so I made myself look a right twat on there. But there you go, 24 and a half, and I'll take a 2-foot rule here, which is 24 inches. I hope you can see that. See that the camera's upside down. 24 inch, you see that? Down is up, up is down. The camera's the wrong way around. So anyway, we go with a 24 inch, and we're right up there, right to the edge of the Floyd Rose. Another ½ inch on top of that, and we're where the strings hit the saddles. 24 and a half inch scale length. So that is clarified. So today what I'm going to do is, I know the guitar's in a stupid angle, it's still in the case. I'm ready to start working on this guitar, but what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be measuring the fret wire. I'm going to order some fret wire. I've also been commissioned by Dave to go and buy a new block. We're going to go with a big brass block, and I am umming and ahhing whether to get a 42mm or a 37. We have got so much clearance in there, I'm thinking a 37 is going to be enough. I don't want to go with a 42 for a plain simple reason as if we're going with a thicker block, when it goes down or up or down, right, it's probably going to hit the back plate. And I'm going to go with a safe 37mm. I will measure it first. I may, you know what, looking at that, we are going to get away with a 42. Why don't I order both and I'll return one if it's not quite right. Let's just measure that now while we're here. It's looking like it's going to be a 42. Let me get a rule that is not 10 miles long. Right, here you go. And there it is. That's a 42mm block. Okay, we're going to go with a 42 because we do have at least 3mm clearance here. So I'm going to go with 42mm big block. I'm going to go and order that today. Springs are fine. What a lovely guitar. What I can do today, if I indeed do start this today, is I could remove the frets. But I think what I really am going to do is, I'm just going to go and order the block. We're not changing the stud posts. We've decided that because they didn't come with the new Tremolo. I said, well, why change them if it's not necessary? Why fix it if it's not broken? So we're actually going to go with that. So anyway, just want to explain something about my camera, by the way. The camera's broke. Where the screen stabilises itself when you turn the screen 180 degrees, it's not. So I'm looking at an LED screen which is upside down at the moment, which makes it really difficult for me to film. That's why you're only seeing the guitar. I'm going to go and order a new camera later. Another reason I've not ordered one yet is my internet is off. I've had one of those weeks where nothing seems to have gone right, apart from a refret I just did. So hopefully I'll get that sorted later. But anyway, that was just a quick update. It probably isn't going to tie in completely with the video, but you know, hey ho, who cares? At least you've got some more information. But I'll be back with another update later. Okay guys, we are now at the stage where we can start getting to work on this chaparral. But before I do that, there's a couple of other little things I need to get right and make sure are right before I start the work. Otherwise I'm going to be waiting about to put things right later. So what we're doing first is the new Floyd Rose Tremolo. I'm going to get rid of this block. It's a 32mm. We're sticking on a 42mm big brass block. This is not an FU tone one. It's made by some guy somewhere in England. They are precision made. They do fit an official original Floyd Rose. So I'm just going to make sure that this fits. So obviously I'm going to have to dismantle the original. Very, very nice. I've fitted these myself on some of my own guitars and they're fantastic. What we need to do is make sure we're getting these holes in the right area. So number to the back, you can see that. And it's going to give us, I've already checked the cavity, there's plenty of room in there. 42mm will fit, there's plenty of room in there. We've got about 3mm to spare behind the backing plate. So that's what I'm going to check in a moment. What else I plan to do today is, I'm just going to prep the guitar today. I'm going to, obviously, I don't think I've plugged it in yet. I'm going to plug it in and play it before I do any work. But what I'm going to do then is I'm obviously going to remove the strings, take the tremolo off, take the hardware off, or what hardware needs to be removed off. I will be checking the electrics obviously before I remove anything. And once that's done, we are going to get the neck set straight. We're not going to do that first. We're going to remove the frets. I'm going to remove the frets using an adapted soldering iron to get some heat in there. And we're going to remove them really carefully, hopefully not get too much chipping. Ideally, no chipping. That does happen. Recently, I've been doing quite a lot of refrets lately and not been getting any chipping, and that is always a bonus. But if we do, it's not too much of a problem. But hopefully today, I will get the guitar ready for the new frets. The new fret wire has arrived. I'm using Sintom's Elite, which is 25% nickel silver, very hard. But I do believe, is it the last 4 of the last 5 fret jobs I've done have been with Sintom's Elite. Really, really like it. It is difficult to work, obviously, because it's so much harder than, certainly much harder than the regular 12%, and the harder 18% I've been using, pretty easy to work. But 25% is a little bit more difficult to work. Not as difficult as stainless, probably on the same kind of level as Jescar Gold Evo fret wire, probably the same kind of hardness. I really, really like it. Like I said, I've done my last 4 or 5 jobs with that. Everyone that's received their guitars, or well, one was not a guitar, one was a it was a bouzouki, and everyone's been happy with the fret wire so far. So no reason to complain about that. One other thing I'm having to look to do. Oh yeah, I did buy some. What have I done with it? We are going to need to shim the nut because the nut is cut too low. The last guy who did the fret job, I totally agree with Dave that the guy who did the last fret job did it shoddily, lazily, and because his frets were all even, he just took a stone across. He didn't re-crown the frets. Those frets could have been worked. I could have worked those frets and got it all and put a shim under the nut there, and would have been right as rain. But Dave's decided he wants a full refret, which is fine by me. And that is where I'm here. So I'm going to crack on with that, get that block on there, and once that's done, we'll move the guitar, we'll move the camera, and we'll start getting those frets out. I've already jumped forward a little bit with stripping the tremolo, and I've removed the saddles and made sure that these inserts have not fallen out, and we've put the adjuster screw or tightening screw back in, and I lay them down in the order they're going to go back on. So pretty straightforward. As you work, come off in that order, stay in that order. We're just going to remove this block now, checking that everything underneath goes back in the correct place. What we're going to do first is we're just going to remove the screws on the new block. These, by the way, I don't know who makes them. You get them in England, and they're about delivered. They're about £20 pounds or Great British pounds sterling is the currency over here, pound sterling, GBP you probably know it as. That would equate to around, nowadays the exchange rate's so bad for us over here, you're probably looking at about $23 American. But anyway, is that 3 mil on there? I do believe it is, they're really tight. So around about $23 delivered, which is not too expensive. I think a FU tone one is going to cost you, in England you pay roughly double that, probably a bit more with import tax. You probably pay almost, wow, probably $65 to get one shipped over to England now. A bit of import tax on top, that's $75, which is a lot of money, considering you can get one for $23-24. But an FU tone one will probably cost you 3 times more. Don't get me wrong, I've bought the FU tone ones myself in the past from Adam Reavers, and they are fantastic. But you know, why do that if you can get one for a third the price? Why buy a Hamer over a Gibson? You know exactly what I'm saying. But anyway, here we go. All we're going to do is we're going to take off the block, put this block in. We're not going to do that. We're going to insert one screw first, the middle one, just so we don't lose anything. I've already forgotten which way the number goes. It goes to the back, and we'll just tighten this one in there. We're not going to tighten it, we're just going to get it in position. Just loosen that one a little, there you go. It really is, that's as difficult as it is, not at all. I'd like this one to go straight, fiddly little thing, but we're in there. So without tightening them up, just get them close. Just going to straighten up this spring underneath there. And there you go, well, pretty good. Tighten up. Alright, that's it. And we have a new block on there. Make sure these are tight, we don't want them coming loose. And there you go, how's that? So the original block, bang his screws back in. Because Dave doesn't want this old Floyd Rose, I don't think he's going to need it. I'm going to offer him, I'm going to ask him if he's going to let me keep it. I'm going to obviously offer him some money for it, but I could certainly make use of a Floyd Rose tremolo. I could probably stick one in my Strat. You know, I could route actual tremolo hole on my Strat I'm building, parts caster, to accept a Floyd Rose. So, you know, be in Dave's interest really to let me have it. He'll get paid, he'll get some money knocked off. How's that? Pretty good idea. So there we go. There is the new block on there. Looks good, doesn't it? Just looks real good. Gives it some real weight. Then putting the saddles back in and on the Floyd. Get them in and under the screw. It's not rocket science. Pulling it back. Blah 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 blah. And that's it. Nice. No need to tighten these because I'm going to set them for the. In fact, I will tighten them. I'll tighten them to where I think they ought to go. I've set enough Floyds up to know that to know roughly where the saddles do go. But then again, this is a different scale length. It does make a difference. It could make a big difference. Certainly will make a difference. I don't need to tighten them, do I really? But I think I will do. I'll just give them that little nip. So I'm going to crack on with this, and we're going to move on to the next part of the process, which will be getting the frets out. Moving on with this Hamer refret, I'm just going to show you, before I start the work, as much as I can, I'm going to show you where the last guy is supposed to be a big name luthier in England, how he skimped on this refret, and this is going to cause me problems because there's chips he's left in here, and I'm going to have to repair these chips. that are not my fault. So I'm going to show the chipping, and I'm going to keep my hand, and it's just this side of mine. So I'm going to zoom in, and you're going to be looking. I'm going to tell you where to be looking, and you want to be looking in this kind of area around here, and I will point out. And I can't see it properly from this end. Let me get this area here, this kind of area around here. There's old chips in there. There's a big chunk ready to fly out just here. These are going to fly out when I remove these frets. I don't know how much you can see there. There is a big bit there that should have been glued in. So whoever did this refret, I'll tell you straight, they do know what they're doing, which makes the refret worse. The fact that we know what they're doing, right, then gives them no excuse to skimp on what they're skimped on. And there are chunks and chips all around this kind of area, around here, that they've just ignored. And I'm going to have to put that right. So it's going to increase how much Dave is going to pay for this refret, because I'm going to have to add at least another hour to the job. Because these are going to need repairing, and I know these are going to chip when I pull them out, these frets. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the frets, and I'm going to explain how I'm going to do that. And I do have an adapted soldering iron, 40-watt soldering iron. Let me zoom out again. Really difficult to use this camera now. The image is upside down. But anyway, to show you what I have. I have an adapted soldering iron with an adapted bit on the end there, and there's a groove in there, and that just slides over the frets. I'm able to get some heat into the fret. So I'm just going to pause the video, I'm going to turn the camera back on the guitar neck, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to remove these frets. And we're back. So I have two fret pullers. I have my old ones, maybe old but they're fantastic, and I have my new ones from Guitars and Woods in Poland, in Portugal, and these are super fine. Where are they? They're there. They get right underneath the fret, but these also are good enough. I'll be using a chip stopper from Stumac. These go under the fret as you pull them out. It's supposed to stop chipping. Does it work? Almost. It's about as close as a real answer as I'm going to give you. Yeah, they do work okay. They are not perfect. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the old fret puller. We are going to take my adapted soldering iron. It's not a soldering iron I use, and we are going to pull this one with the bad chip in there. So what we're going to do is solder iron on there. As you can see, it's as close in as I'm going to get. I do have a new camera on the way. The ribbon on the LED screen on that is broken, so it doesn't, when I turn the LED screen around, it doesn't reorientate the image itself. So I'm getting an upside down image on that LED screen from where I'm sat right now, and it's quite annoying. So like I said, I've got a new camera on the way. Hopefully it'll be here in a couple of days and we can swap over to that one. But anyway, at the moment I am heating up this fret. Probably don't need to heat it this much, but there you go, you can see a bit better there. I'm getting no hissing or no steam. It means these frets were not glued in. Now, I don't know who refretted this guitar, but I do know from Dave who owns this guitar, says it's a big name and you'd be surprised if I told you who he is. So I'm kind of intrigued to know, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm not bothered. I fix up that much work that other people have messed up. That's the one we're pulling. So let's get in there. We're going to get right in at the edge, and look at that. That's come straight out. I don't even need a chip stopper. And the amount of chip in there already is unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4 big chips there. And that piece is already coming off. What we're doing with the piece that's coming off, we're going to make sure it doesn't come off. Get some super glue on there. I do have a better I'm going to take that away. Just using your cloth, I'm not bothered. Makes no odds. And we're just going to hold that down. So I've already got chips to repair in that one. I'll be using the chip stopper. I'll show you how I use that in a minute. I'm going to take a Stanley blade and just scrape this away. This excess glue that's on there. And there you go, that's one chip already fixed. When I fixed all these chips in this fingerboard, you will not know. I'll be filling it with some rose dust, but already a lot of chip in there. I believe these chips were from my last fret job. Now, don't think I'm going to cut these slots with the Stanley blade because it's not how we do it. I do have a proper saw for this. I got from my TGI fretting kit, and there you go. And it cuts exactly 1/2 millimetre curve. Is it 1/2 millimetre blade? And it cuts to the right depth. It's just a matter of that. Right, I'm expecting this fingerboard to chip like a bitch. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull another. Right, I'm getting close to that. I'm going to pull one this side now. So same again. These frets were not even glued in. Well, they might be glued in actually because it is something stuck to the bottom of that. Not very good at all though. So anyway, let's crack on. Get the next one out. I'll be using the chip stopper on this one, so we'll get the chip stopper over there. Move all this come out of the way. That's not enough. Again, I'm getting no steam, I'm getting no hiss. It means I would think that these were not glued in. I can now see, looking at these frets as well, that the radius was not even done properly. The fingerboard was not re-radiused because there's more height on the edge of the frets than there is in the middle. So a very bad refret all round. I'm going to ask Dave to tell me who did this refret. I'm not to name or shame anyone, but it's a terrible refret. The edges of the bevels on these frets is also horrendous. Now, I know the guitar's been sat a while, so there's been no. I should have put some mineral oil all over this fingerboard, but this fret job was terrible. I see a little bit of steam there. Not sure. Anyway, let's get in with the G and W one. So yeah, the wood on this is really dry. I'm going to get a chip stopper underneath there. I'm going to try and get it underneath there. That's gone straight under, should help. Okay, no chipping on that one, that's good, that's pretty hot. Okay, there is some chipping that has been ignored from the last time that was done. Really, really sad to see that. I'm going to take my time. There will be, unfortunately for Dave, an extra charge for me repairing these. I'm going to have to charge him probably a couple of hours. But I'm sure he won't mind that. At least he's bought the guitar to a proper fret guy. I hate charging people more than I've quoted, but the thing is, end of the day, I've got to be paid for my work. What a terrible fret job this is. The problem with these frets, he has just levelled them. He's not flat, he's not re-radiused them, he's not re-crowned them. He has just gone across, like Dave said, he's probably just gone across with a stone block, which I think he's also done. So, sorry Dave, I'm going to charge you more for this. This is going to cost Dave, with the Floyd Rose and everything setting up, it's going to cost him the best part of £300 when all said and done, plus his postage. But at least the guitar is going to be fantastic when it's done. I had a play with it this morning and I couldn't really get it in tune that well because it wasn't set up right. But I do notice the third switch on the neck pickup is not working properly. It's cutting out on the up position on that pickup. So I'm also going to get in there and check the wiring in there. Maybe it's just I just need to get some switch cleaner in there. Should be nice. I'll go back with this one because it seemed to get under easier. And it did get under, it was so easy. But this is already chipped. These chips, these aren't chips that are happening now, these are chips that were there before and have been ignored. And that is really, really sad. Let's see if we can get one out without heat. Yeah, it's just chipping like a bastard. There's no point in using heat, there's no glue in there. And I don't believe there is any glue in there, so let's just... Now these have just been knocked in. They've not been glued in. Oh, big chip there. So sad. When I've got a chip happening, we'll get some glue on there. And again, that's just fucking chips everywhere. Pardon my French, I did swear there. I don't really swear much anymore. I'm going to leave it in. So yeah, more work in this for me. Okay, back to the heat. I wonder if I can beat that F word out. I very rarely swear nowadays. So you see my dilemma with this. Well, it's not so much a dilemma. These are chips areas that need to be fixed. And I will fix all of them. But what I'm going to do before I fix any of them is I will be re-radiusing the whole fingerboard. And that might fix a lot of the chips areas. Not all of them, because some of them I can see from here are quite deep. And just a little bit of sanding is not going to fix that. This would chip like a bastard because I've got another big chip there. You won't believe the amount of chips I've got already here. These aren't chips I'm doing, these are chips that were ignored before. So thanks, whoever did this last time. We're going to be, I hope you get named and shamed. Because I am not shy in coming forwards, I will shame you. So there you go. I'm going to crack on with this off camera because I've just sworn twice now. I've said the F word and I've said the B word. Bastard's not really a swear word, but I don't want to be swearing. I'm probably going to swear a little bit of this. So I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to get all of these out and I will come back and show you the chips areas once I've done. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to take one of these out as careful as I can. Terrible fret job. I can see gaps under the frets and everything. I'm now questioning my own, what I was thinking about. This guy knew what he was doing. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing. Because it looks like, on a 12-inch radius, it looks like he's used a, on a 14-inch radius, probably used a 12-inch radius block, or on a 12-inch radius has used a 10-inch radius block, so the frets are flatter in the middle than they are at the edges. You've got more material at the edges and they're flatter here. You know exactly what I mean. People who know guitars know exactly what I mean. Chip stopper on this one. But you see, look, straight under. Big chip there that hasn't just happened, it was already there. So I'm going to get all of these out. And I'll come back, we'll change the camera angle and I'll show you the fingerboard as it is when I remove frets. I'll just show you there that I'm quite gentle in removing frets. I'm not yanking them out, I'm heating them, I'm taking them out the proper way. These chips are horrendous around this area. Okay. There you go. Now you get a much better idea of what I'm working against here. And all these chips, these are not chips I've done, these are chips that were ignored when the guitar was refretted last. And let's have a quick head count, and this is a rough 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, not including the ones I've done, 29, 30, 31, 32, 32 repair areas there, not including the 4 or 5 I've already done. So what we're going to do is I'm going to heat them up. I'm going to take these last 4 out with you right here, because I know there's going to be a big chip here in a minute. So this is going to take me, if I take 5 minutes per one, what's 5 times 30, 150, that's 2.5 hours. It won't take 5 minutes per one, but it'll take me a couple of hours to get this sorted out. This job, the whole job, with that not including parts, is going to be 250 quid, I think. These parts are going to be about another 50 quid. I think I've worked it out at £49. So this whole job is going to cost roughly 300 quid. And then with shipping both ways, 25 each way, £350 the guy's going to have to spend to get his guitar back in absolutely superb playing condition with a fantastic refret. My work's always guaranteed. If you're not happy with the work I've done, I will put it right if need be. At my expense, I will collect it, I'll return it to you, and I will pay for the whole process until you're satisfied, until you're happy. This is why I always like to have my clients over and we sit down and we talk and I ask them what they want and they let me know, and I say, right, this is how it's going to be, blah 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 blah, and if anything changes I will let you know. It's why I have every one of my clients' phone number, contact details. There you go, that's come out nice and easy. Don't even look, fell out. That's one that's fell out, but look at this big chip here. It was ignored last time. I hope you can see that. I'm just going to get some glue under it in case anything's moving about. And I'm just going to coat some glue underneath. Here's one that was completely ignored earlier. How's that for you? And getting rid of that is just a matter of, there's a couple of ways we could do that, but easily from this, I'm doing it from the wrong side, but we just scrape. Don't forget, everything will be sanded anyway. We are going to re-radius the whole fingerboard. I like to get as much on film as I can, but without it like interrupting my work, because I've got a lot of work on this month. It's the busiest month I've ever had, ever, and I mean ever, since I've been doing this. I've already got over a month's amount of work in. We're in the second week of August. In fact, we're on August 12th. I've already got enough work to carry me right through this month. My earnings this month are far above anything else I've done in a month. Not far above, but 30% up. You know, that's a good pay rise. I'm not saying it's always going to be like this, but it's nice while it lasts, isn't it? Yeah, straight like that, so that's the heat in there. But look, they were supposed to have been glued in. They're not glued in. If they are, just put some super glue in there. Again, down this end always comes out easier. They come out easier, making me out a bit of a liar. Well, not making me out a liar. You've seen all this. That fret slot's not even wide enough. Now, something about the width or the tang of frets. I always go with 1/2 mil because they're the thinnest you can get. Because if you go too wide, you're going to put back bow in the neck, and we never want that. And then you're going to have a problem getting the neck straight. I've had that problem a couple of times in the past. And you end up back clamping a neck with heat to get it straight again. So you always want to go with a tang that is not too tight where it's going to put any back bow. If you go with a tang like 0.55 millimeters, if 0.5 is too wide, you've got 0.5 times 20, which is going to give you a millimetre extra, and it's going to cause a back bow. And you don't need that. You don't need a back bow at all. Once I get this these frets out, I want to loosen that truss rod, and I want to know that this neck is level. If it's not level, we're going to want to know why. But we need to get as level as possible with the truss rod loose. Doesn't matter if it's a 1/4 of a turn here or there, that's fine. But once we start getting to 1 or 2 turns of a neck still not straight, then we want to be looking at getting the neck straight. And there are certain ways we can do that, and we'll talk about that if we actually come across that problem. Chances are we're not going to, but we don't know what the last guy did on this guitar. The guy that refretted it last. Chip there. It's not so bad, we can fix that one really easily. Not a bad chip at all. So down this end we're okay. The thing is, it's not giving me a chance to stop the chips, because once I pull a fret one side it's just popping right out. A good thing about Dave bringing this to me is it's going to be refretted properly. We're going to level the fingerboard. We're going to re-radius the whole fingerboard. We're going to fix every chip. I'll fix all the chips before I re-radius. That way, when I re-radius, we're going to have a completely smooth surface. It's going to be perfectly radius, perfectly level. And what I'll do is I'll also slightly flare open the fret slots with the free edge file, just so the new frets go in easily. Obviously at this end I can't clamp them in because my clamp is not that wide. I can only clamp really from fret 15 downwards. So these I'm going to hammer in anyway. We'll gently tap those in with a fretting hammer, making sure that underneath the guitar is properly supported. I really do care, obviously, about my reputation, and I've got a really good reputation. Never had any negative feedback. I've had liars on my page, told lies. That's why I've got 3 1-star ratings on Facebook, but that was all based on lies from a rival shop up the road there. And they know their lies, and so does the owner of the shop at the time. He no longer owns the shop. And I've called him out one-to-one, and he's back down, because he knows I'm telling the truth. And I'm not one of these people that goes around calling people face to face and saying, right, blah blah blah, come on, let's do it, let's go toe to toe. I want to see you face to face anyway. I must have been really riled that day. But liars, nobody likes a liar, do they? Anyway, there we go. All the frets are out. I don't know what you can see regarding chips, but there are a lot. These are not so bad. One there, nothing there to worry about. One there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, fix that one, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, one I fixed 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, these are all okay, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, really big one, 40, 41, 42, 43, about 44, about 45 areas that need fixing. Some of them may get away with if we do re-radius, which we are going to re-radius anyway. This fingerboard certainly wants treating with mineral oil, which I'm going to do right now. I'll not be working on this today. I'll not be fixing anything. I'm going to, because this wood is so dry, I'm going to give it a good splattering. Some lemon oil, mineral oil, just to rehydrate the wood. Get some in the slots, just to open those slots up just a little bit. Some people are going to, when I say you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't leave that soaking in for blah 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 blah. Let me tell you, I know what I'm doing. We need the wood not cracking and splintering. So I'm going to leave that for a few hours. I'm going to move on to something else. Once this is all dried up, we'll get something on there. I will probably dry it off with a bit of naphtha, which will just evaporate all this off anyway. And we'll come back and we'll start looking at these chipped areas. Just get that back there. Good thing about getting a bit of oil on the body there, it's really good cleaner. Move all that grime off there. It's not going to harm anything. A lot of grime on there. Is that everything cleaned? I like to leave everything in on a video, good or bad. if I make a mistake, you're going to see it. And where I do use a little bit of genius thinking and fix something, you're also going to see it. But that oil basically is already soaked into that wood. It shows you how dry that wood was. I'll dry up the edges there. Now I know this guitar's been stored for a few years. It's not been used. Okay. Yeah, a lot of chipped areas there that I've got to repair. No big deal. I'll let Dave know the bad news. Good news, bad news, whatever. All I really need to do, what I should have done earlier, is make sure the truss rod's working. Sure it is. Do I know the truss rod size on this? No idea. It is a nut. That's fantastic news. I will have a nut. Would they use a Gibson size? I imagine they would. Let me just whip out. I have one for an Edwards here, and I know Edwards use a Gibson size, so is that the right one? Yes. The truss rod works, that's great news. That's always good news when the truss rod works. Is it a two-way truss rod? Don't think it is. I'm loosening it. That is a lot of turns for a neck that ought to be straight. That's not promising. Could just be a tight knot. I really don't know. Just move up just that way so you can see what I'm doing. Which has already had a couple of turns. Maybe it's just a tight knot, I don't know. We're going to remove this knot anyway. I think it's just a tight knot, you know. Because I've slackened that off a good 3 turns. Yeah, and that's just a tight knot. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the knot completely. We're going to stick some petroleum jelly, Vaseline type stuff on there just to clean up that thread a little bit, give us a bit more. Yeah, we know we're loose because I can poke something in there. Yeah, very good. We've definitely got a gap in there. So it's just a tight knot. Could I put some? I don't like putting WD-40 in there because it's going to hit the wood and it's going to soften the wood, and we certainly do not want to do that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remove the knot completely. I'm not going to retap anything, that won't be needed, but I am going to put a little bit of Vaseline on the thread. This is boring. I'll turn the camera off and I'll come back when I've got it all sorted. I decided not to remove the adjuster nut completely in case I couldn't get it back on, but what I have done is I've gone with a good hunk of Vaseline. So I have a little bit on the end of the screwdriver there, and we're going to put another hunk in there. And I'm just going to give us a couple of turns. It's already a lot looser than it was, and look at that. That's a lot better. Look at that now. Really good. So tighten it back up. Just bring it up to a couple of turns either way. Keep it working. And that is a lot looser than it was, a lot better. Like I said, I didn't want to go with WD-40. We don't want to be soaking the wood with that kind of stuff. And what I'm looking for is when it starts giving me a little bit of resistance. Keep going backwards and forwards. And that's not good. I'm going to put one more lube in there. Not lube, but some more, definitely more Vaseline in there. Shouldn't be doing that. We'll take the nut completely off. Change my mind. Again, camera off, I'll back soon. So I've removed the nut completely, we just a nut, and there's some, I got a I'm just going to poke around in there, and there's this, I don't know what this gunk is, but that's just come out. Looks like earwax. Doesn't look very pleasant at all. I don't know what it is. But what we are going to do is I'm going to get a light pen in there. Just have a quick look up there if I can find my light pen. I do have a light pen. I do have a light pen. Okay, just a bit black and a bit gunky up there. There's nothing I can particularly do to make that any better. I can try and get some, what do you call them in America, a Q-tip in there and just clean that up a little, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to lubricate the thread. We'll get some, try and get as much Vaseline type stuff on there as we can. Well, not a mental amount, but you know, can you see in there? I don't know. Doesn't look so bad. The thread's okay. Just got a little bit of grime in there. So let me go and get a Q-tip. We'll have a clean around in there, and we'll get some more lube on there, and we'll get that nut back on. So I've been in there with a Q-tip and just giving it a little clean, and there is whatever was in there. Just a matter of getting a Q-tip in there, trying to get underneath. I don't know who did this refret on this guitar, but I'll tell you what, if he is a big name, he's not worthy of it. And this is what happens. I've seen this a lot, and I'm not calling anyone, but I've seen this a lot in the few years I've been doing this. There are some big name people even around these parts, or not too far away. And I've had guitars they've worked on and refrets they've done and stuff like that. And they've come into this workshop and I've ended up fixing the work they've done. And I'm thinking, I thought this guy's supposed to know what he's doing. Right, let's get rid of this crap. I don't know what it is. It is earwax. Is it earwax? No, I've got no idea. Of course it's not bloody earwax. So we have cleaned that up, that area. We can now see that the screw is silver. We are going to put some Vaseline, or in this case it's actually lip salve, lip chap, that my wife gave me. I'm going to get a load in there. And then I'm going to get a load more in there, because what doesn't go in comes out. So we're going to hopefully get this to go straight on. Just need to get it to bite. Not bitten yet, it will do. I should have this vertical for this, but let's just give it a touch, and we just need it to bite. And once it's bitten, that's straight on, and that is beautiful. How's that for you? And that's going on a lot better now. Because whatever grease was on there is a thickening grease, and it's just got thicker, more time it's spent on there. And I should just be able to touch this around with a screwdriver, like so. And you'll see, it's a live TV, folks. And there you go. That's a lot better. Oh, that's a lot loose. That feels so good now. Look how much quicker that's gone on. I mean, I'm hardly touching this, it's just spinning straight around. So my next thing to do is to go and email Dave. Dave has already told me he's a regular sleeper, so he can be asleep in the day, so I'm not going to call him. I always email him, first point of call, or first point of contact. Right, there you go. Okay, we have an overspill of, well, we're on cotton bud, here it is. Vaseline there, get rid of that. Yeah, so I'll email him, I'll drop off this job, I'll move on to something else. I've got plenty of stuff in to be getting on with. And I'm looking to hit the adjuster part. The more you get in, the less adjustment you've got. I'm doing like, I'm not even doing a quarter turn at the moment. Going about 1/8 of a turn at a time. Truss rod's still loose. Oh, I think we'll just hit it. There you go. We'll just hit it just there, right there. Resistance, right there. Resistance is futile. Well, there you go. That's done. That's cleaned up. So that's great. Very happy with that. So we fixed that. It wasn't really a problem, but we fixed that. We're going to have a look at the straightness of fingerboard now. And these chipped areas are all really standing out. Right, okay. So we do have a lot of relief in there. A lot of relief. Relief. We're just about coming to straight. We have a very warped neck because it's an up and down like an umpty back camel. It's a bit like Loch Ness Monster. It's up and down in areas. We've got a gap at the end, then it touches wood, then we've got a gap in the middle, then it touches wood. So what we do in that scenario is we get it as level as we can. Once we've got it as level as we can, which I'm thinking, just about there, I'm going to give it one more 1/8 turn. And that to me is as level as I can get it. And what I'm going to do is, we're going to level the board as it is right there. I will show you all this from another camera angle. Yeah, that's it. That's as straight as we can get. That's perfect. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. That's as straight as we're going to get it. There is nothing that you could like. You can measure it. It'd be a 20th of a millimetre. So that is good to me. That is what I'm saying. It is playing position. So I'm going to sand and level the fingerboard as it is right there. I'm going to let it settle. Give it half an hour or so, and I'm going to come back to that. But what I am going to do is, I'm going to slowly take you in with the camera, and I'm going to show you all the chipped areas. And these chipped areas were here on the last fret job. They weren't fixed, and it really is quite shocking. So. And I'm going to end this part of the video, by the way, here. Get back up here. It's central. I'm going to call this part 2, and I'm going to move on to part 3. Now, at the end, when I've done all of the video, I'll make one long video, whether it's 2.5, 3 hours long or whatever. But I'm going to do this in sections because I'm going to post it to the Hamer fan club so people can have a look. I'm just going to grab a camera now, and we're going to have a look. Let's get here. Oh, well, I'll zoom it right out. I'm going to bring in the camera by hand. So it's going to get a little bit shaky, a little bit wobbly right now. Okay, and we are going to go, and we're going to go and look at the chips in the fingerboard. I'm going to start now, nice and slowly. And you can pause any time you like and have a look. These are what were left in by the last person who refretted this guitar, whoever that may be. I don't know who it was. Dave has not told me. He says, but you'll be astonished when you hear who it is. There you go. Turn the camera a little. I'm hoping you can see all those chips. I've got to repair those. And I will repair those. There you go. Let's call this end of part 2. I'll see you in part 3. Right guys, good thing about this camera is we can have picture in picture and it works really quite well. And don't concentrate on me, concentrate on the guitar. And I've just sanded the fingerboard. I've not radiused it, I've just sanded it, and it's the chips are really standing out now. And I'm going to repair all of these chips before I put the new frets in. And I'm going to count them. And just take my word for it, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 65 different areas on this fingerboard are going to need some wood dust putting in there and reslotting. That is a lot. That is going to take me 3-4 hours maybe, which I'm not charging for. Just part of the process. So I'm going to get some, here in a second. I'll show you how I'm going to do this. And I do have some rosewood dust. I don't have a lot left after this. But I do have a bag of rosewood dust here. And it's not the most difficult thing to fill these, but the clean up after is difficult. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I do have a little thin blade screwdriver I use for this. And what we do first and foremost is I'm going to choose one area, this one here in particular. And you're not really going to see how it starts, but I do have some strips of silicone. Or a sheet of silicone, and cut it up in small pieces. And what we do is we just place that in the slot. If it will go all the way in the slot, should do. There you go, silicone. That's the way, that's the ticket. And I'm not picking the best one because it's actually away from you. And what about if I turn the guitar around? Oh, there you go. So if we go there, there you go. Let's just check on the camera that you don't quite have all that you need. But you have enough. Right, okay. So strip of silicone over there, and I'm going to bend it back. And what this silicone does is it's going to stop the glue and the dust going into the fret slot. Now, we should all know, if you don't know, silicone does not glue. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some rosewood dust, not that much, stick it on there. I wonder if I can get you in a little bit closer. Not where the camera is set. You'll be all right there. And there's a nice big hole there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to move some wood dust over to that hole. To fill with wood dust. Not too much, we don't want to go mental. And all we're going to do is we're going to drop in some super glue. The super runny stuff. I think you in America call it CA glue. Super glue is what it is. And all I'm going to do is drop in some super glue, like so. And that is that hole filled. I've got one here to do. By the way, I hate working with super glue. If there's any way of getting super glue not to stick what I'm sticking, for it to get all over my fingers and stick my finger and thumb together, I will find that way, it seems. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. There you go. It really is that simple. I'm hoping you can see this from where you're at. I'm not bothered about saving any of the dust. And once that's done, I'll remove the silicone. I'm going to grab me a file. Quite a coarse file. Probably number 2 cup file. And we're just going to file over, following the grain. And there you go, and you cannot see those 2 chipped areas. I'm then going to take my fret slotting saw. I'm going to recut the slot. And that is 2 chipped areas repaired. I do believe I have 60 something more to do, which is going to be fun. We're not worried about any excess of glue or wood dust on the top of the fingerboard, because we are going to be re-radiusing the whole board sometime later in the day once I've got all these repairs done. What I will do though, however, is now I've got the 2 repaired, I'm going to move the camera around again. I'm going to show you the 2 I repaired, and I'll show you what they were like before. I could also, if I wanted to, there's any residue on there, just make sure we get the right one. This is the one I've just done. Just scrape off any glue residue. Like I say, this is all going to be re-radiused again anyway. That is amazing, and you won't see where I've repaired this fingerboard. Done this many times before, never to this kind of extent. This is, I mean, particularly, this is the worst one I've ever had in. But anyway, that is how we repair chipped areas on a fingerboard. This should have been done by the guy who did the refret last, but he didn't do it, so, you know, what can I tell you? So I've got a little bit pot luck here, but the 2 chips I have just repaired were here and here, just where my finger is. There's one there and one there, and they looked pretty much similar to these chips here. So I'm hoping you can see that. So the 2 I've repaired were there and there. You can't even tell, but they were very similar to these ones around here. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm just going to put the guitar back in the position I wanted it in the beginning, and I'm going to get these all repaired. I'm just going to show, just before I do that, all being well, hopefully I can see from there. I can. There you go. I'm going to get that pretty close. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and you're going to get an idea of how chipped this fingerboard is. I'm just going to zoom in on the camera. Ignore me. But there you go. See how chipped that is? I hope you do. It is pretty chipped. There's 60 odd chips I've got to repair in that. When I bring you this back to show you, you won't see any of these chips at all because they won't be there. So, back soon. Well, back in a few hours. Hi guys, I've just spent 5 minutes repairing some chipped areas on the guitar, believing the camera was on, and it wasn't. So I'm going to do it again. So from scratch, how I repair chipped areas on a fingerboard or fretboard, whatever you want to call it. And what I'll do is I will take a piece of 1/2 mm thick, what do we call this stuff, silicone, already pre-radiused. Place it in the slot. press it right in. And that is good, it's in the slot. I only need to work this side, so I'm going to bend it backwards. And there's only one small area right here I need to fill. I'll just close this door. So, this is how I do it. And I'm not saying it's the correct way. Well, it is the correct way. I'm going to say it's the correct way because it's the correct way. So I'm going to show you, I've already filled about 4 along this one fret. I've got this one to do, and I'm going to take some rosewood dust, well, it's actually rosewood alder mix. Thing is, when you hit this with CA glue, super glue, it darkens. So you're not going to see this once it's done. I'm just going to move it over to the hole. Take some super glue, the thin runny stuff, hit it with a drop, and there you go. All being one, we've filled that area. We're going to remove the silicone. I'm going to take quite a coarse file, and we're just going to file over the top. Not worrying about any scratches because we're going to actually re-radius the whole board anyway with the radius beam. But there you go. That is fixed. We're going to take the fret slot saw, again 1/2 mm blade. Being careful not to hit the guitar with this part. And we're just going to carve through that slot, and we have a 1/2 mm wide slot there, all ready to take a new fret. I have a 1 fret cut just to check that anything, if we've got any small, very small chips areas in there, we just need to make sure that the fret is going to cover everything. There are no chips areas in there anyway, but there you go. For this to accept the fret, what I will be doing is I'll be slightly flaring open these frets anyway, just so the frets go in straight out. I'm going to show you that. If I can take either of these files, this one may be a bit heavy duty, this one's probably better, it's the one I normally use. And all there is a 3-cornered or a 3-edge file, and I'm just going to flare open the slot. We will be packing slots with Titebond, not to glue the frets in, but to use as a gap filler. But that is it. That fret slot is now ready for a new fret. I have 23 more to do. Plenty more bits to repair, but that will accept the fret now, easily. I'm going to be hammering them in at this end because my fret press is not wide enough. But there you go, they are going to go in. I'm going to precision cut the frets so the tank just hits the edge of the neck. There's next fret along, there's one repair to be done there, so same thing again. I'm going to show you another one. Like I said, there were 65 areas that need work, but some of them aren't deep enough to warrant a repair, because when I re-radius the fingerboard, they're going to disappear anyway because they're really shallow. So, good thing about this, it's a long job, it takes a while, but it's not taxing, and it's, you know, it's quite therapeutic doing this. It is time consuming, that's the problem with it. But here you go, I have one big chip right on this corner here. These thin ones are going to be okay, I think. I still might just fill them in. It's not going to hurt. And so I'm going to take the time with this. There's hours of work in this. Right on the edge. A bit more difficult to do them on the edge, but that's fine. same here. These two really small ones. Could get away with leaving them, but I'm not going to leave them because I'm already here. Yeah, just take your time. File. And there you go, chip repaired again. You're not going to tell, look at that, looks fantastic. Again, small file, just flare open the fret slot. I should, by rights, turn the guitar around to do this, but there you go, that's beautiful. Again, that's going to set the fret quite easily, probably easier than the last one. That's going to be fantastic. This one's going to be fun because there's a big wedge missing there. I don't know what would have caused that, but we're going to fill it in anyway. This fret again, check with the fret, see what is overlapping. They're all going to get repaired anyway. It's not, you know, it's not rocket science, is it? That one definitely needs doing. The other really small ones in here will not need touching. I'm going to touch up that little chip in this on this side and that one on this far side. So again, cleaning my silicone at the moment, getting the glue off there because it does stick to some extent. I'm not going to bend this one over this time because I'm working both sides, far side here and near side there. I'm going to do this far side one first, and there you go. I think you get the idea. One thing I have to keep doing is just keep super glue off this screwdriver I'm using for the wood dust. So I think you get how this works. Let's just pull the chip up, removing that. What we do with something like this is we give it a dose of glue and we just tamp it back down. And that will be fine. Any overspill, it's not going to make a difference anyway because we can use super glue as a varnish if need be. There you go. It's a little bit stubborn. I've got too much super glue in there. But there you go. So repair it, chips areas on the fingerboard. These really low ones we don't need to touch because we're going to sand it, like I say, we're going to sand over the whole fretboard anyway, and re-radius it with some 240 grit, finishing off with some 400 grit. Bigger areas of concern are these right on the edge here, but there's enough there we can get those done. So good stuff. I'm going to crack on, get the rest of this done, take me a few hours, back later. Just showing the progress on the first few frets, and there you go. When I've done the first 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these are all done. Any tiny blips you can see in there, these are too shallow to worry about, and they're going to be, when I re-radius the fingerboard, they're going to disappear anyway, because I'm going to remove about 1/5 of a millimetre, which would be 0.2 of a millimetre. What's that? It's about 1/100th of an inch. Is it 1/100th of an inch? No, it's more than that, isn't it? Anyway, whatever. 1/5 of a millimetre is about, I don't know what it is of an inch. It could be about 100th of an inch. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I'm now moving into 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 done. I've got a little chip on this one to do, and there's some quite deep ones here, here, here. These are going to need attention, that's going to need attention, that's going to need attention, all down here. So all down this edge. So I kind of want to do a little bit of a before video, concentrating on these areas. Can I just zoom in just a little bit more? Let's see where we want to be. And there you go, you're getting to see the area I'm working at now. Let me just take a little pointer. We have a chip there I need to sort. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. That's one I missed on number 8. This one, number 9. This one here, that's quite deep. A couple of scratches in there. Another one there, another one there. Some areas this side. One there, one there, one there, one there. So all this kind of area on this side. Getting down to fret 12, you can't just see that's just out of shot. Getting on to fret 12, this one. Then the other areas are not so bad down the far end. So anyway, I'm going to crack on. Keep soldering on as you do. And there you go, guys. The fingerboard is all ready to refret. I've repaired all of the chips, or all of the chips areas. You will still see that the fingerboard looks a little bit blotchy with some glue residue and some oil residue and what have you. That is nothing to worry about because I need to re-radius this whole fingerboard anyway. So we're going to get this all on the neck jig. I built my own version of the Stumac neck jig. We'll get it all on there, we'll get it fully supported, and we'll take a radius beam. We'll match the radius and we'll sand this with some 240 grit, finishing off with 400 grit. We'll re-radius the whole board, make sure the neck's dead straight, re-radius the lot. We're not going to remove any material at all, but we are going to take off the top layer of this rosewood. So all of this will be gone. We'll have a perfectly smooth and perfectly radius fingerboard ready for the new frets. How's that? Just before I finish for the day, I just want to show the fingerboard as it is now. And it will look a bit sketchy because I've not re-radiused the board yet. But there it is. Just about ready for frets. What I need to do is, like I say, I need to re-radius the board. So we're going to get it up on the neck jig tomorrow. Get it all secured and strapped in. We're going to re-radius the whole board. So all these marks on there, the shiny marks from the glue residue and everything, will disappear. We'll be skimming just across the top of the whole guitar. To create a perfect radius along the whole length. I would imagine we're going to move no more than probably 1/5 of a millimetre, 0.2 of a millimetre. So nothing at all really, but we're going to get this fingerboard completely smoothly radiused and perfect, ready for the new frets. So come back tomorrow and we'll crack on and get that done. I've moved on a little bit with the Hamer and I've re-radiused the fingerboard, and I have re-radiused it to 12 inches, not 14 as it should be. And there are a couple of reasons why I've radiused it to 12. One, you're hardly going to tell a difference. Two, the nut and the tremolo are both radiused to 12 inches. And I also don't have a 14-inch radius beam. I have ordered one. I ordered one over 2 weeks ago, but what I didn't read on the website was they were away until the 2nd of September, which is today. So we're not going to ship it out until today. I ordered it 2 weeks ago and I will not receive it till sometime next week. So I thought I'll nip on 12-inch radius, have 12-inch radius for the whole board. It's nice and straight, but there are still a couple of chips that need repairing after radiusing the board. That's because of, as I've gone across, little bits have moved. And again, because I'm meticulous about getting a board completely level before I put the frets in, I shall go and repair these little chips. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12 more areas. And if I brought the guitar up close to the camera, if you want to zoom in and look at them, you certainly can do. I'm not going to point them all out because I need the 2 hands to hold the guitar, but it is beautifully smooth. There are a couple of other areas of not of great concern, but there are chips areas right on the edge, and I cannot repair those until the frets are in. So that is something I will do later. That said about these repairs, I could quite easily fret this as it is, and you would never know about these chips because most of them would be covered by the edge of the frets, but a couple which would slightly protrude, should I say, might show. It's no great shakes for me to fill them in. It's going to take me an hour. So I'm going to do exactly the same as before. Get some wood dust, some CA glue, super glue as we call it here in England. Fill these up. The little one of interest is right here. Got to see how close I can get to the camera. Right under my finger, there's a chip right on the edge there. Don't know if you'll see it, but that cannot be repaired until the fret is in. But anyway, I'm going to do that. It's going to take me an hour or so. Once that's done, we are good. I'm going to just sand smooth. I'm not going to re-radius anything. It's a nice 400 grit. Just sand over where I've repaired the chips, and we're about to get this over to the bench. We'll get the frets cut, and I think later this afternoon we can get these frets in. We're moving on. We are moving on. Okay, guys, we are now at the fret cutting stage, and I'm just going to remove some of these that are on the side on the guitar. I'm just going to show the fingerboard now I've repaired all of the secondary chips. And I think you'll agree that looks really pretty good, and that's because it is. But what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the frets, and I'm not going to overcut the frets and just cut them when we're on the guitar. I'm actually going to cut the frets before they go in the guitar, and I have a little fretting block there with holes drilled for the frets, and what I'll do is I'll be cutting each fret to exact size. And I have some already cut. The reason I've got some already cut is I had some excess fret wire left over from other jobs. Exactly the same, Sintom's Elite. It is 2.8mm wide by 1.4 high. It's 25% nickel silver, really, really hard. Difficult to cut sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using various cutters. I have this brand new cutting tool from Japan. Not used it yet. I've just cut one now. There you go, say on there, piano wire, Japan, blah blah blah, and that will cut the length that I need without kinking the tang, which is what I want. We need that tang to be kept straight. The only thing with that, doing that method, is it leaves these pointed and sharp. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using my end cutter just to square them off once I've cut them to exact width. Now what I'm going to need is I'm going to need my fret tang nipper. I don't know what I've done with it. Blah 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 blah. Here it is. Again, Sintom's. It says not recommended for stainless steel, but this will cut stainless steel if you are very careful. I've not used stainless steel yet. I do have some in stock to put on one of my own guitars just to try it out. But anyway, fret tang nipper, You probably know what one of these is. I'm not going to explain what it is, but basically what you do is to cut your fret, you slide it in this groove here, you've got a cutter and it will cut. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that by taking the first fret. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the width. I know I'm about 4mm over there. I'm going to cut these to exact size. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nip a little bit of a tang from here. Get it in the right way, shall we? And if you see there, you just see I've cut that little edge off. I need to cut a little bit more. I've not got enough there. So again, go back in. Great tool this is. And there you will see, now if you look very closely, I've cut this tang. And I'm going to make the tang width exactly the same as the width of the slot it is going in, if I do my job right. So again, we just set the nipper, make sure it's all clean and nice. Nice again, done that side. And I'm just going to now check the width of that fret, and it is the exact same width as fret. And let me just turn the camera and zoom in for you just to show you, because now I've shown you how I'm doing it. There you go, and we are pretty close to where we need to be there. I'll zoom out just a little. There you go. You see that? It's the exact same width as the fret it's going in. And I'll do this with all 24 frets. And again, I will check. It's a tiny, tiny bit over. I can snip just a tiny bit more. Choose this side. Very, very careful now. Don't remove too much. And that feels real good to me. And that is the exact width of the slot it is going in as that. That is perfect. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the end cutter, like so. And we're going to snip it and it's going to fly out. I should really do this out of the guitar, but again, if you see here, I'm just going to take, this is for the camera, I'm just going to take that end, I'm going to snip it, and now we have a squared up fret, square ends, tang exact same width as the slot it's going in, and when we put this in and glue it in place, we will have very minimal amount to file back. That is looking just wonderful. To make sure we are the right width. That, my friends, is perfect. And you see, we're only going to need to file a little bit off. It's already going to be part beveled as well. So I'm going to move on to the next one. And the reason I'm not moving, I'm going to leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tell you why I leave 5 at this end. I will get 5 off one strip, only at this end. And it'll give me an extra fret to work with. Instead of getting 4 per piece of fret wire, I'll get 5 because this is excess I've got left over. So this one can go, it can go anywhere, it can go where it fits. Quite happy for this one to go there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, fret 9. I need to remove about 4mm. And again, every single one of these frets will be precision cut. And I don't charge extra for doing this. This is all included in the price. I just like to precision cut. Now if this is too wide for the slot I was pouring it in, I'll pour it somewhere else, and it is. And it fits there. Right. I'm going to put it in there because that leaves 5, 1, 2, 3, in fact it leaves 6. I'm going to stick it in that one. Check. A little bit over. A little bit under. So I am going to go in there. And that's where it's going to go. So again, I'll hold it this time when I snip it. Up to the edge of the tang. Snip. Right up to the edge of the tang. Looks a little bit wide to me, that one. I think that's going to go in 9. These slots, I've got to basically flare out these slots again because they're not quite as wide as they need to be. I think there it may be just a little bit wide. We're going to stick that in. See if it fits better. it definitely fits there. I'm just going to give that a little tap, just to see. Yeah, and that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that one will go in. Number 9. In the block. Number 9's done. Number 1's done. I have 20 odd more to cut. So I'm going to crack on with that, get them all cut, get them all precision fitting, and then we'll look at getting them all squeezed in. Okay guys, we are ready for the frets, and this is going to be quite a long-winded process because I'm going to have to approach this in 2 different ways. And the first 10 frets I'm going to have to hammer in because this part of the guitar will not fit under my fret press, which is my fret press is basically an arbor, and I won't fit this area underneath, so I'm going to hammer the first 10 in. So I'm going to really take my time with these, and I'm going to glue the frets in, but I'm not using the glue as glue, I'm using it as gap filler. And for this I will use regular Titebond as I always use. I just need to get some on a little, I've got an old lid I always place some on. So I'm going to put a little small amount on there. Just tip a bit on, and I am going to do these frets just a few at a time. I've got 10 to do, I've got far more, much more glue there than I'm going to need, but that's okay. I also have to hand. I have a bowl of water with a wet damp cloth in there to wipe up any mess, and I'm going to do these one at a time, and I should really do 3 or 4 at a time. I would do if I was pressing them in, but I'm not pressing them in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get some glue over the slot, trying to make too much mess. I think that's pretty good. And all I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a cloth, which I'm going to bring out now. You can't see it, but I don't know what's for it. I'm bringing out a cloth. It really is that simple. But I'm going to take fret number 24. I'm going to place it where I want it. You see I have the guitar supported underneath. I'm going to put the fret where, more or less where it needs to be. I'm going to take my fretting hammer and gently with the nylon side, just going to tap in each side. We don't need to bash them in, we just tap them. Until they are seated. And then any clean up. A wet cloth, then a dry cloth, and I will come down and have a look and make sure it is well seated, and that looks good enough to me. I will take a radius gauge as well, just to check that the radius is good. And the radius is good, a little bit down on that corner. That. Make sure we're getting in and get the glue out. We are going to mark the top of the frets, that doesn't matter. We've got to level them yet anyway, so let me see where I am. And that is beautiful, right across the top of the fret. 1 done, 23 to go. Same again. Like I say, I'm doing this with the first 10. I'm going to do 2 now actually. That's how I normally do it anyway. You don't have to whack them in, tap them, they will seat. And what we like to see is squeeze out, because then we know we've got enough glue there. As you can see, they will need trimming on the edges, but not as much as you might think. So I cut them to the right width, knowing that the arc radius was more than it needed to be, so as you hammer them in, it's going to spread out. I knew that from the outset, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not expecting these to be perfectly level, but it'd be nice if they were. So I will take a fret rocker and just have a quick check. And they certainly level with each other, which is fantastic. So I'm going to crack on doing this. Once I've got these 10 in, I'm going to move over to the other bench. We're going to get the fret press all set up. Well, it is already set up, and we're going to press the last 15 in. So I'll crack on with that, and I'll be back soon. Right, just a quick update. I've got the first 11 frets in, and they all seem to be seated perfectly well. I'm going to clamp these down before I get the other ones in. So what I'm going to use is, if I still have it, is, yes, this will do it. Piece of just a piece of aluminium there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a 12-inch radius block on top of that, which works. And keeping that under there, I'm going to clamp all this together. I'm going to clamp that side and then come and clamp this end, and we're just going to clamp those in, let them hold for a good hour, and then we'll come back and we'll get the rest of them pressed in. Second half of a refret. Let me show you my fretting. I'm not going to show you me putting frets in right now. I'm going to show you my fretting station and how I set it up. And basically I'm going to remove the guitar, just hold it out of the way for 1 second, and I have a piece of MDF with an old tea towel on there. I have a neck brace or a neck holder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the neck holder on my fret press. Now my fret press, I have an adapted piece underneath, so I get everything to the right height. I've got a 12-inch radius caul in the clamp there, and this is how it works. It's an alder press, often alder press, you know how it all works. And what we do is we're not going to have a lot of room to play with here, but everything is going to be level. So with the neck press in place, I'm able to get from the first fret here, moving all the way along, move this out of the way with the frets on, I'm able to get right up to the 14th fret, even the 15th fret where I need to press in. So we can press all of the frets in just by sliding, blah 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 blah, and I hold that there and slide and slide and slide, and we're going to get into every single fret. So really simple procedure. I'm going to do pretty much the same as I did before, which was I'm going to drop some glue in the slots. We're going to place the frets and drop them in one by one. Each fret is cut more or less to the correct width. Let's just see. So zoom in just a little bit more. You get more of an idea. Right, so you may notice I've already filed this side of the frets to the beveled edge. I've not done this side yet, but I've done this side, all done by hand. But anyway, I'll show more of that later. So all of the frets fit more or less perfectly. Like I say, everyone is going to be not glued in, but I am going to drop some regular tie bond in the slots as a gap filler. I'm not going to film this, I'm going to crack on and just get it all done and get the frets in. I think you can pretty much see how everything works. Blah blah blah, really good. We're not going to have any problems with this. It's my preferred method of putting frets in. So much easier on a guitar with a removable neck, like any kind of Fender more or less. But as this has a set or glued in neck, we have had to adapt the way we do the refret. Like these first 11 frets I have actually hammered in. That's all obviously explained earlier in the video. So I'm going to crack on with this, get the frets in, and then we can move on to the next section. I've just pressed the last of the frets in, so I'm about to just move the guitar and the block out of the way. I'm going to hopefully have somewhere to just rest that where it's going to hold, which is fine just there. Now then, as you can see, frets are in. Not dried the board, that is not important. What is important is that I get a clamp on here. So 12-inch radius beam. We'll go to the first fret. Right about there should do. Get a clamp on, first one, that'll hold everything else in place. See where we are. That's good there, that's good there. Doesn't have to be super flush just yet, just has to get one on. And there is one on. I can bring that around flush. Fantastic. Now go this side. And this should be enough, but I'll get another one further up anyway. And there you go. We have the frets clamped in. That's beautiful. And how good is that? I moved on a little bit. We have all the frets in place. We have a 12-inch radius beam clamped on there, holding the frets in. That will be absolutely fine. I'm going to leave it an hour or two, move on to something else. But once these have been in an hour or two, the frets will be dry enough. I'll be able to shape the edges and get the bevels done. Today, trimming the edges of the frets to the edge of the fretboard and creating the bevel. As you can see, clamped in a vise, padded each side, supported at the end, and everything taped up so we don't scratch any of the paint. You'll also see here, well, you won't know what it is, but this is some chamois leather over the tape because I'm going to be coming close in with a file. This is a fret leveling file. I bought this years ago. I don't use it a lot, but when I do, it's important. The good thing about this file is it has two safe edges there, and a file that side, same file each side. The great thing about this is when I'm filing at this end and I'm above the body, it's not going to cut into the body. Now, we are protected with some chamois leather and loads of tape anyway, but the great thing about this is I can just go straight on there. And you can hear when it's removing material from the frets. And the good thing about this file is I never do it straight, I always angle it ever so slightly. You can see I've got the fingerboard taped, not the fingerboard, the body or the neck taped up right up to the fingerboard so we don't scratch any of the paint off. And it's just a matter of getting the file level where we need it to be with the fretboard, angling it ever so slightly and just carving the frets until we start creating. See, they have ripped some tape off. That's good because I've not ripped into the paint, but I have removed some of the tape. That's okay. Removing the tape is absolutely fine. But anyway, back to where we are. And I'm now creating the bevel. And I'll start getting resistance once the bevel is at the angle I want it. When I go up this end, I'm going to be a little bit more careful. So a lot of handwork this is, it takes a long time. Now this guitar has had extra special treatment because it means so much to the owner. They all mean a lot to the owner, they all get the same treatment. But this one I'm taking my time with. So it's getting more hours than the guitar normally would. But anyway, there they are, those edges are done. I've got a slight bevel on there. I only use a slight bevel anyway. I don't do the 35-degree bevel. I used to. It's too much. You're losing a millimetre of fret width on each side, so that's 2 millimetres of fret width. You don't want to be doing that. And then anyway, once I've done with that coarse file, I'm going to get my super flat file, number 4 cut, Swiss made by Valorbe, and again doing exactly the same. This is just going to give us a smoother edge. Be careful And this is just really, really good. This also has a safe edge, but only one, this side. As you can see, and all I really do with this is really, really take my time. This pickle here was in the way of everything, so I've taken the pickle out, just so I can get in everywhere. Everything's all taped up and protected. There are more scratches and dings and dongs on this guitar than I at first realised. You tend to come across them when you're working close up like I'm doing. Anyway, let me just feel that, and that feels great. You can still feel a little bit sticking out, but you're going to until I've rounded these edges off and sanded them down. But that is pretty good. A little bit more to go. Again, wipe the file. This is destined to be the longest video I've ever made. We're already over 2 hours. I'm including the appraisal video with the completed version of this project. But there, I think we are about there. Not done my levelling yet. I used to do the levelling before I do the beveling, but it's not going to make any difference. I've actually done the beveling this time because it's such an intricate job. And I think we're pretty much there with all of that. So very happy with that. I'm going to turn the guitar over and do the other side, and then we can come back, get everything taped up and start on my levelling. I normally level before I do the beveling, but this time round I've done the beveling first, and I'm going to do the levelling now. And before I get everything masked up and I go across with a levelling beam, I'm going to check the frets. I look for any particularly high ones, because there will be some, and what I'll do with those is I will level them with a flat file, and that one all the way across is high, and this will get the frets close to where they need to be for when I come across with the levelling beam. And I've already been across in a couple of places. Check these back. And doing this, if I've got any particularly high ones, it will get rid of the high parts of the material. For when I go over with the levelling beam, they're going to be pretty much there, and it just makes things easier in the long run. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 different colours of pen, and I'm just going to mark. I'm going to go about halfway up. So we've got high fret there, high spots there, high spot there, high fret there. And that'll do for now. And what I'm going to do is just take a flat file, smooth one, again my Swiss made number 4 cut file, give it a clean. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring these high spots down. I'm going to start with this one here. And I'm just going to basically, with the fingers at either side, just go either side of where this high spot is. So I'm just going, working this fret, and once I stop getting resistance like I have there, I know it's more or less level or to where it needs to be. And there it's a tiny bit high now, but nowhere near as high as it was. And this is basically how we do it. Like I say, once I stop getting resistance and where I need to be. And it's a lot of work, it takes time. And I'm creating a flat spot on the fret there. It doesn't matter, we're going to radius them all again later. And there you go, that one's done. So we're going to check this one again. And it's just a matter of just being patient, bringing them close. Once I've got them to more or less the level I need, I'm going to go across the whole lot with a levelling beam. So we don't need to go gung-ho. And see, all I'm doing is I'm working the area either side of that one fret. I know these are going to scratch up, but that doesn't matter. We're going to be polished up later anyway. We'll get rid of all of those scratches when we do the final levelling. And that seems pretty good to me. And there you go, that one's level. Now this one's a little bit high because I've removed material from there. So again, and I'll do this across the whole board. And I could just do this all the way up the length of the board anyway. This is all about getting close, it's not about doing the final levelling. I've not got the board mashed or taped up, not needed right now. All this extra, all these filings will just easily brush off and blow away. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up the board, checking everything as I go up. And we just need to be close. So you get the gist. Get these two done, and then I'll do the same for the next section, then the same for the next section, then I'm going to get a levelling beam out and we're going to level the whole lot. Really straightforward. Well, I can remember when I first started doing this, then I started levelling frets, and I was a little bit scared, you know, to take too much off, and it took me a long time. But you're not going to be scared because these frets around it are going to hold this level, so once you've got that to the level you need, you're going to drop onto these frets and it's going to feel a lot smoother, and you're going to know, you're going to feel it. So that feels like I'm removing a lot of material there, and I am, because a lot of material needs removing. Again, back to check, and that's fine. And there you go, back onto this one now where the whole lot needs doing. The reason I keep checking my file is I have one flat side and one's a little bit bent. It wasn't bought as a straight file, but this side is really straight. So, well, I always check that I've got the file facing the right way. And like I mentioned before, I've already done the bevels on this. I've not done the rounding over or the deburring of the bevels yet. I'll explain more about that in a bit when I've got the neck all taped up. And to be honest, I could do with a better file than I've got for deburring and rounding off these bevels, I'll be honest. I may go and buy myself one today, or go and order one today. But anyway, let's check this one. Feels good. So let's check back. These are all level with each other. It doesn't mean they're all level across the whole length. That one's still got a high spot on there. So we go back. We'll work it again. Check again, still high. There you go, beautiful. Check the other opposite direction as well. So we have all these frets at this end level. Go back up to the one I've just flattened, I believe it was this one. Still high on that corner. There's many ways I could do this. I could do it with a leveling beam and do the lot. I could do it with a flat stone. I do have a flat stone. I don't use it very often. I saw someone use one a few months ago and it looked pretty decent, and I used it and I thought, it's not that clever really. it just wears the stone out. So is that levelling your frets properly? I don't think so. I'm certainly not convinced. If you heard a murmur just now, I've got my dog down here at my feet. He's just laying down, having a break. Being semi-interested in what I'm doing. He loves being in the workshop with me because he's with me most part of the day. So there he is, laying down. That's Ross. He's a good boy. You're a good boy, Ross. And we're just about coming up to halfway. This is fret number 10. So you can see it doesn't take mega long to do this. But what it is, I'm going to crack on with this. And what I do is I'll get the board set up, all taped up, making sure it's all level. I'm going to get ready for doing the proper levelling. And we're going to round over the bevels, get everything. Oh, slipped out my hand, I've got to be careful with that. I'm going a bit too fast here, you see, because I was talking, so I'm going to take the time. Not have any accidents. There you go, it's looking good. 11's looking good. 12 is looking, oh, it's high everywhere. 12 all the way across. So I'm going to crack on, get all these done off camera. Once it's done, I'll make sure the neck is straight again. I know it is straight because I've already checked it. Odd 24.5 inch scale length on this one. But it's beautifully straight. Not a gap anywhere. I've already checked it. Just beautiful. So up to number 12. Got these few to do. Get them levelled. Once that's done, I'll get it all taped up. We'll get it proper precision straight, and we'll come back with the levelling beam, and I'll show you exactly how we get the radius matched up. With the levelling just about done, I've made up I've taken a 12-inch radius beam, aluminium, and I've fixed some 240 grit sandpaper. Don't worry about it not looking neat at the edge, it's just because where I overlapped it and just cut with scissors just to get it on there. But all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to check the radius is okay. So I've covered all of the frets in blue pen. Just going to take a few strokes. Remove all of the pen. All of the pen is removed, and I'm going to check the radius by eye, and that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to hardly touch the sandpaper at all. Look at that. There's nothing on there. Just on this corner we've got a little bit of blue. One more. One this way for good luck. And that to me is the frets level. That's all we need, just a few strokes. So I'm going to check my eye, just check the width. We're a little bit wider on this side than that side, so I just need to press that side just a little again. Just a couple of strokes. Pen them up again one more time, and I should be able to get this all done with one sweep. Got nice even levelling across the whole length of the board. .240 grit on the levelling beam. It's quite coarse. I'm going to follow with 400 grit, just using not a radius block. I'm going to use an actual levelling beam with old paper, old 400 grit paper on it. And all it's going to do is just remove all of this pen and all of these scratches. And that's it, all gone. very happy that that is now level. And I'm going to finish off with a levelling beam. I'm going to find it. Piece of 2 by 1 inch steel box section. 2 edges ground perfectly flat. Got some old 400 grit on there. And all I'm going to do is, again, get some pen. I'm just going to take this off. That's it. So all I'm going to do is take the pen off. I'm going to check the level of the frets again. And once I'm happy, I'm going to get the board taped up. And we're going to recrown the frets. No, we're not. We're going to do the beveled edges first. As you can see, there's a lot of work that goes into a refret. I don't charge enough. We never do charge enough. But you know, we've got to give value for money. I'm just earning above minimum wage if you really want to know what I'm earning on a refret. The main money, your better earnings are on setups, because you can do a setup in 90 minutes. You know, 90 minutes, 2 hours, good setup, and you know, a lot more money that way. You do 4 or 5 setups a day, you make yourself 1,000 a week, easily. Got one high spot here, that's surprising. Didn't think I would have. That's looking good. Check the frets. We dealt with massive radius because we've been across with a 12-inch radius beam. These frets are level. I'm going to drop off this one now for a day or two. Going to get it all taped up, the fingerboard, and I'm going to come back and we're going to do the beveled edges, just round them off, remove any burrs, get the whole fingerboard all taped up, and I'm going to come back and we're going to recrown these frets. I'm going to create a little bit of runoff, which I haven't done, I meant to tell you about that, from fret 15 to 17 onwards down to the 24th fret. These frets are level, beautiful job. That is the frets beveled and levelled. So what I need to do next is start getting them crowned. I'll show you that later. I've been having a problem with a couple of frets on this guitar, and 2 were not seated correctly. This one, number 6 and number 24. Well, I've replaced the 24th one, that's all glued in and levelled. And I replaced this one again, and it just will not seat correctly. And I think it's on this side, so I think it's because of the width of the slot. I think it's too wide. So what I'm going to do is I'll put some tape this side, just some, can you see there? Just some blue Scotch 3M tape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with wood dust, this whole slot, or most of the slot. When I get the wood dust out, I'm going to poke the wood dust right in. I'm going to put some super glue in there, and I'm going to recut that slot, because that's the only thing I can think it could be. And I've done this before. I did this on I refretted an import guitar a couple of years ago, and it was abysmal, the frets that came on there. The guy wanted it refretted because the frets were terrible. It's a brand new guitar, and I pulled the frets out, and these gaps were so wide I had to fill them all in and recut the slot. So I'm doing exactly the same with this, and I've got plenty of wood dust. This is a mix of maple and rosewood dust. And I don't think I need to do the whole slot, but I particularly do need to do this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cram some. It's not going to work for me to put any wood dust in this rest of the slot. I'm not gluing this far side, I'm just gluing this half here. You can see exactly where I'm going with that one, I hope you can. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the edge of a Stanley blade. I'm just going to pack that dust in there. And then I'm going to go again. I'm going to pack it in again. And then I'm going to do it again until it's packed right in. Especially on this side. There you go, it is packed in on that side. Not so much this side. This side, I don't need it packed in as much because I'm only going to put a little in there. Because this side, I'm sure it's fine. I want to leave enough for me to be able to recut that slot. And there you go, that's as much as I really need to do. I'm going to take some really clear, really thin CA glue. And you can see what I've done there, and this dust I'm going to put back in the pot or in the bag. And this I'm just going to bang up there. And I hate touching super glue. It's one of my pet hates, super glue. I hate the stuff. You can see there I've got some on the finger. What we're going to do is we're going to scrape that off straight away. It will scrape off, like so. I'm just going to scrape between these two frets. You can see I've done this before, the confidence I have in just going over there and really giving it some hammer. And that is it, and I've filled that slot. I'm going to get this paper off sharpish before it super glues itself. It's probably super glued on now anyway, but we'll get it off. Yeah, that's super glued. I'm going to scrape that off. There's not going to be a problem. Get that off in a while. So there you go, I've filled that slot. What I'm going to do is with the Stanley knife or blade, I'm going to more or less straight away recut this slot. It's exactly 1/2 millimetre curve on this blade. Absolutely no messing about. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a new blade in there, but there you go. Brand new slot. There, can you see? So that is the perfect width. I'm going to clean up this area now. Take a bit of cleaning that well. I've got to scrape some glue off and probably not get into the lacquer. I will do that off camera. I'll get a good fix on there. And 2 minutes and brand new slot. We've cleaned up this whole area. Hoping you can see all of that. Brand new fret slot there. So we can now get the fret back in again. Check the width. The width is fine. That already is, I know, is going to be a tight fit. I'm just going to glue this in with super glue. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap it in as it is. And I'm going to see, there you see, that has gone right in all of the way, properly. What we're doing in a situation like this where we've not glued it in, that is seated superbly now. I'm going to take, you're not going to see from where you are, I'll tell you, show you how you will see. I just hazard it, but that's going to be in the right place. And I'm going to do this kind of wrong way around, and that is not the right place. Okay, I'll move the camera. Let's pretend we're live TV. Can you see fret 6? Hardly. My goodness. I'll get this right in a minute. There you go, fret 6. And what I'm going to do is, well, there you can just see that. I'm going to take the super glue, find out where fret 6 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to drop some super glue, and this will draw itself under. And that has drawn itself underneath that fret. And I'll take a little cloth. I'll wipe away the excess, and all I've got to do now is, that has gone under the fret, that will hold it in now. Not ready to come out anyway. And all I need to do is go and scrape away the excess. And there you go. So that fret is now glued in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah blah blah. I will just again take a Stanley blade, try and stay out of your way. Just a matter of scraping away the excess glue. And the excess glue has gone both sides. There's a name for what that's just done. Basically, it draws itself under where there's that gap. There's a proper name for it, but that fret is now in. Now all I need to do is take the file and bring this in line with all the others. Like so, both sides, which I'll do off camera. I'll get it in the vise over there and we'll do it properly like it did when I showed you how to do the bevels earlier. But that fret is now in, it's replaced, it's seated correctly. All I need to do now is get it levelled with the others, and then we can move on to recrowning these frets. With the 2 frets replaced and levelled and edged and bevelled, I have a not straight edge on the neck. I've checked it, it's level, it's flat, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful. We knew it was anyway. And I'm going to go across one more time with the levelling beam. Blah 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 blah. 2x1 steel box section, both edges milled flat, 240 grit that side, 400 grit that side. Just going to go over 400 grit. I'm opening a few strokes, all of the pen will be gone. And hallelujah, praise the Lord, all of the green pen has gone off top of the frets. So the frets are finally level, they are beveled. Brush all the gubbins. I've replaced frets 6 and 24, which were both riding high on this corner. And we've now sorted that problem, or we've now fixed that problem. And I'm finally ready to crown these frets. Now I cannot crown the frets as they are. I need to tape up the edge of the neck and the whole fingerboard. So we just leave the frets exposed. Because we know we're level, we can get it all taped up now. And then we are going to recrown these frets, which are now flat on the top. We're going to rebuild that crown going this way like an upside down D shape, or on its side D shape. So it's going to be that way. You know exactly what I mean, a semicircular shape. And we're going to leave around about 0.5 mm at the top. It's not going to be touched, we're not going to touch the height at all. I'll explain more about that when we do it. This is probably my favourite part of refretting a guitar, and it's crowning the files. And I'm going to go with a couple of files here, and my 2 regulars, a nice 3-cornered file with 3 edges, but these are ground smooth, so we cannot damage the fingerboard when we're going across. The ground, we're not ground flat, but the ground smooth, absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to explain how I recrown a fret. I could use a profiling file like this, but I don't think it does a good enough job on its own. I prefer to do it the old-fashioned way, where we basically, where the frets are flat now, we're going to rebuild that crown. And with this file on the far side or away from the camera, I will as I file, I'm going to arc it over toward the camera and rebuild the crown on the far side. And from the near side, I'm going to arc it away from the camera and build that crown on the side closest to you. And we're going to rebuild that crown. And how we do that is I will take a marker pen. I will mark across the top of the whole fret. And I'll be looking to leave a line down the centre of that fret, maybe 1/2 millimetre wide, with that crown rebuilt. The black bit in the centre, the line in the centre will not be touched, but that means we maintain the height, because as you know, we already have the height of the frets, or the frets all level. So I'm going to quickly explain how I do, or I'm going to quickly show how I do that. So with the file cleaned, support the neck, it's just a matter of nice and gentle. I'm going to slowly arc the file toward the camera. It only cuts on the forward stroke. What I like to do sometimes is just support the file with these two fingers, so you just saw me slip over the fret there. We don't want to be doing that. But on the forward stroke we're going to be cutting. Then we're going to come over to this side and we're going to do the same again. And I'm going to gently arc the file away from the camera. And hopefully now see which fret, it just has a black line right down the centre. Then I'm going to bring in the profiling file and I'm going to remove any burrs and any unevenness. Just a few strokes. And just over the edge, just on this bit of the bevel, just to round that over. And there you go. And that's the first one done. And we have a thin black line right down the centre of that fret. It is now perfectly recrowned. We're going to do the same with the other 23 frets, but what I'm going to do first is fret rocker, just to make sure we've maintained that height, which we have. So I'm going to show another one. That one looks absolutely beautiful. We do exactly the same again. I'm probably going to talk a little bit less. I'm just going to crack on with it. Always cleaning file. Clean the file. And again, another one beautifully crowned. Now what I could do is I do have a proper profiling file. This is a diamond encrusted one. I believe this is 300 grit, quite smooth, and we always, with this one, always wipe the file. And this will also give us a nice smooth finish. I'll do this when all the 24 frets are done. This is going to be cut so well. Give a beautifully smooth fret. And I've just done 2 frets with this file. That's as many as I would do before cleaning it, because I guarantee this will have dirt on there. And with this file we always do a wet clean and a dry wipe, and then we can use it again. These frets will be beautiful. Now once these are polished up they'll be fantastic. But again, always checking the frets once they've been crowned for level, and check one back and one forward if you can. So for instance, if I was doing this fret, I check that fret, then I check one forward and I check one back. So I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get all of these done, and once that's done we'll move on to the polishing. I just want to show that when I get to the body end of the guitar and I'm recrowning the frets, I do them half and half. For instance, I can't do this half, this side, because if I do, this file is going to hit the body of the guitar. It's one reason why I have it taped up, but it's also why I do it half and half. And at the moment I'm on this far side and I've turned the guitar round because I need to be able to, I can't do this part of the fret, especially these first 5. So what I do is I'm just doing this half basically from the centre to the end, and it's much easier for me to just work like this, you see, and get a right good crown in there. But I'm only working half a fret. Now see, I'm careful not to dig into the body of the guitar. And so I'm just working this half of the fret, and I'm using my finger there as just as a guide, just to hold the file where I need it to go. And I'm taking my time, then I'm just doing the middle area and the far side, and we're getting a beautiful crown on these frets. Taking my time, just the middle bit and just the end bit. Always wiping the file. Once I have those edges done, I've got the first 4 done. I will then come in with the profiling file, give it a wipe, and again just across the middle and just down the edge. Down that side. Be careful not to dig into the body at all. Wipe on the file, same again. So I'm doing half a fret at a time. Wiping the file. And there you go, and this will be the 4th. Just holding the file steady with one finger, and that's it. And I've done that half of these 4 frets. Now when it comes to doing the opposite side, I'm going to try and keep the guitar in the same place so I don't have to move the camera. I think that's pretty good, and I'll be doing the same again from this side. And I've actually already done these, but I'm just going to show you. And that way we're not digging into the body, we're not scratching the body with a file, and it just makes the job a lot easier. And then again, there, look, just the middle and the edge. I've already done these, so minimal work on these, but this is just to show you. So then what I'll do is again come in with the profiling file. And that is those 4 frets finished. The 4 dangerous ones, so to speak. I will be doing the same again. I've already done this side on these. I'm going to come down and do this side. I will have, I believe if I've done 4 there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to do. Also I can see, just by looking at some of the frets, that somebody did a little bit more work in the middle, because that has got a bit of a thick line there. So I'm going to turn the guitar back to where it was. Try and get it in the same position for the camera. I think there is pretty much the area I was at. I can just eyeball, I've got quite a bit of a flat spot there, more of a flat spot than I would actually like, so I'm going to slightly recrown this one again. And that, I'm much happier with that now. I did notice on the refret done before with the Gold Evo fret wire that these frets were all flat down here, where the last guy that did the job didn't recrown these frets properly. He didn't take his time, he didn't give it much attention, he left them quite flat. I do not like guitars coming back, so I make sure I do a proper job, and that's what I've got these bits left to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of a run off or a fall off down this side, probably from about fret 17, so we're 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. So on fret 15 here, I'll probably get something like a piece of tin foil if I can find one. I did have some knocking about somewhere. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? I'll find it and we'll do a little bit of a run off. I'll explain more about that in a short while. My least favourite job polishing my frets, and I'm going to be polishing my frets with 6 different grits of sandpaper, coming through from 600 to 2000 grits. So you've got 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000. But before I do that, I'm going to round off the bevels or the edges of these frets, and I'm going to go with some. This is supposed to have been 1800 grit, but it's not. It's 180. We sent the wrong stuff, so I'm going to go with a little bit of 180 just to soften them. I'm going to finish off with some 2000 just to round them over really, really nicely. So all I'm going to do is straight up, just the edges of the fret, just to rough them up a little bit, but remove any burrs. Again, here. By rights, I should do this with a file, but I'm just going to do it with a file because it's something I missed out. Very, very lightly. I could have done with a smaller file for this, but I'm going to go with my number 4 cut smooth file, Swiss made. 1 safe edge, and just a matter of take any one and just rolling slightly over the frets, just removing any burrs that may be there. So see what I'm doing there, just rolling over, not cutting into anything, safe edge down, 3 strokes. I completely forgot about doing this. As anyone else standing there, I realised I've not done this. That's just removing the burrs, any sharp edges on the bevels there. Ready to start, that's the one we started on. So again, this side, nice and simple, not difficult. Keep that safe edge down all the time. As we get toward the body, start taking our time a little bit more because we don't want to be digging the body. So shorter strokes. More strokes this time because I'm doing much shorter strokes. Don't be digging anything. Just removing any burrs. Same effect. Again, paper. And all I'm going to do now is just come this way. And there you go, you get the idea. We're just rolling these over. We're going to do this at once. And that's everything nice and smooth. What we're going to do next then is take some 2000 grit and do exactly the same. And just here. And there you go, these frets are beautiful and smooth now, all along the edges, all over these bevels. Got to do this side, they're not sharp anyway, there's a little bit of sharpness here. I'm going to do this side off camera, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you exactly how I polish the frets. So, with the edges rolled over, sanded and smoothed, Just before I start polishing, take my 2000 grit and I've gone this way over the frets. And what I'm doing is putting any scratches this way. And when I polish them out, I'm going to polish this way. So with that all done, and this also helps to slightly round the frets over again, because you're using your fingers this way. And you're just rounding over those frets like so. You can do it like this. And I've been up and down the whole fingerboard. Like so. This is why we keep everything taped up, especially the pickups. We don't want any bits getting in there. But here you go. That's it. And now we are now ready to polish these frets properly. And this is a long-winded process. It takes a long time, and it's a bit of a dirty job. But let's just get rid of all that on there. And they're looking nice already. You might think, oh, you probably get away with that like that. We don't get away with things here at Fret Friend. We do things properly. So what we're going to do is we're now going to polish these frets. And I'm going to polish with 6 grits of sandpaper. Some polishing rubbers at the end. I'll use a fine and a super fine if I can find them. 6 grits of sandpaper, 2 polishing rubbers from Crimson Guitars. I'm not a fan of these rubbers. I tend to use these after I've sanded. I have 4 of these, coarse, medium, fine and super fine. I'm only using the fine and super fine. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the thickest piece of sandpaper, which is this. Got a 6 on the back, tells me it's 600. And what we're going to do is we're going to polish over the top of these frets. And I'll show you, we're going to do it this way. I'm going to slightly wet it, don't have to wet it. It's more important to wet the back of the sandpaper so it doesn't slip off your fingers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the sandpaper and we're going to go right across the top of the fret, like so, into the sides. And again, right over the top of the fret. And we're going to do this with 6 different grits of sandpaper. Move on to the next one. And we've got 6 lots of 24, which I do with paper, which we'll all know is 144. Is it 144? I believe it is. Then I'll have 48 with the rubbers. I don't want to keep in count. Is that something like 186? And then we'll finish off with the finest grade steel wool. Does that make 200 and something? I don't know, I've lost count. 208, something like that. But there you go, so I've got many more polishes to go. So I'm going to stop the video, I'm going to get all of this done. I'll probably come back when I'm onto the rubbers and show you the progress. And here we are with the frets all polished, and there are 8 polishes in the end, 6 different grits of sandpaper, and 2 polishing rubbers. So 8 times 24 is 192. My calculation was wrong earlier anyway, but anyway, that doesn't matter. So the frets, they look absolutely fantastic. Don't know where you can see from there. You're not going to see a great deal. But they look wonderful. They're like glass. There's no scratches on them. They're highly polished. You're not really going to get to see it until, wow, they're amazing. You're not really going to get to see it until I have all this paper peeled off of the guitar. What I aim to do next is, the owner of the guitar wants me to identify what pickups these are, so we're going to get all the tape off here, we're going to oil the neck, and we're going to have a look at the pickups. We're going to take them out, we're going to have a look underneath, try and ID what they are. If we don't ID what they are, at least I can put something on the Hamer fan club and ask there, and someone will know. Once that's done, get the pickups back in. I'm going to check the electrics, check these switches. This one in particular I think has been a bit dodgy. So it might just be a matter of just getting some switch cleaner in there. I do think one, the middle position's off, one is normal and one is out of phase or something. I'll have to go and check that or ask Dave again. Anyway, going to get all the tape off and going to move on. The most rewarding part of a refret is probably the time when you remove the tape from a fingerboard and you get to see the frets in all their glory for the first time. And here you go. And it's a moment we always like to share. And there you go. Syntom's Elite 2.8mm wide frets, fret wire, 25% nickel silver. Beautiful stuff, really hard fret wire, looks fantastic. Don't know if you're going to get close enough in to see the edges there. You could probably pause and zoom. The edges are beautiful and smooth. Not going to cut into your fingers there. I will, however, go across again with some very light sandpaper on a beam, just to make sure that everything's hunky-dory there. Minimal bevel on these, probably only a, what we're looking at by eye, I don't know, quite a bit of a bevel there. I would say 15, 17 degrees, but they look fantastic. Really, really pleased with how that's come out. Looks wonderful. Let me just check this edge. Looks great. I'm not going to fill any of these tiny little holes in. They are very, very tiny gaps. I could stick some more dust in there and a drop of super glue just to tidy it up. I'll see how we go on. The problem with super glue with me is I always make a mess of super glue. I'm not very good with it. I hate this stuff. I think I will though, just drop a little bit of dust in these tiny holes we've got just to tidy it up, but I could always sand that smooth. So, I'm not going to do that now. What I'm going to do now is I need to identify the pickups. I've been asked to do that. I also need to give some attention to the electrics, which I will do. So I think the best way to go around it is I've already got one pickup removed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pickups out. I'm going to have a look at the pickups. I'm going to take some photographs. I'll try and show them to the camera. Once that's done, we'll get the pickups back in. We'll test the electrics. We'll get the electrics fixed. And once that's done, we're going to spray the fingerboard with some mineral oil. Get it all cleaned up. Get some oil in there. Not too much, but just to get it treated, to get it looking really nice. And get it looking dark. And then we can think about getting the guitar back together. Regarding the pickups, this is what we have. Neck pickup, no markings, just 6 pole pieces all the way through. Single coil, 1 black, 1 yellow wire. Body mounted, nice mountings in there, proper inserts, not just screwed into the wood. So I'm going to remount that in a bit. I imagine the middle pickup's exactly the same. And this one, bridge pickup, it is stamped Hamer USA guitars, that's it. 6 pole pieces one side, a piece of sponge under there to push it up. I would imagine this is a 4 wire, so it's splittable. I don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure. But while I have this one out, we'll just clean up this area. If anyone knows anything about these pickups, let me know. And I'll take it from there. So I'm going to put the pickups back and I can move on to the electrics. And moving on, the problem with the strap pin at this end of the guitar is the screw was bent for starters, but the problem is the hole itself, or the recess there, which is not set right. So someone's damaged that somehow, and that's how the strap pin sits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that hole, probably just with some, not so much dowel. I do have, this thing is, cocktail stick, and I'm just going to drop that in there. Even better if I could just drop a little in there. And I'm going to basically just drop some epoxy resin in there. I'm not going to stain it or anything because it's going to sit low anyway, or it's going to sit just under the hole. I'm going to drop some epoxy in there, and then I'll remove this cocktail stick, or I'll drill it out. We'll put the screw back in and we'll have it nice and neat, just to get that nice and straight. So another little thing. So again, puts me behind. I'd like to have got this guitar done today, but we're mixing epoxy and stuff and letting that set, and I've got to let it set 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get this done today. But anyway, I shall move on to something else. I don't need to show you this. I'm filling a hole with some epoxy resin. how difficult is it? If you need me to show you how to do that, there's no point in watching anymore. But anyway, just a joke there. Anyway, going to crack on. Back soon. I've decided I'm going to film this. I'm going to film everything, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some of this stuff, Z-epoxy, blah 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 blah. I'm going to mix it with some rosewood dust. Then we're going to fill this hole. And once it's filled, I'm going to let it settle down. Once it's settled down, I will cut off this little bit of wood. I've only plugged the end of this hole, so it'll be really, really easy to drill through this once the glue is set. But I'm going to mix some epoxy up and some dust, wood dust, and we're just going to let it sit inside this hole. I might even just let it sit slightly proud. It will shrink, but let it sit slightly proud. What I'll do is I'll tape everything up even better than this. And what we'll do is we'll sand it all down or file it all down, get it as close to the edge of the body as we can. I may even colour it with some, I might drop a little bit of epoxy, not epoxy, ebony stain in there just to make it look black. And when we've got the strap pin back on there, you're not going to see it anyway. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Back in a second. Doesn't even need to be stained. Hopefully I've mixed enough up here. If I haven't, I shall go and make some more. Yes, we have enough there. If I leave that a few minutes, that will find its own level. There will be a little bit of shrinkage, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, won't we? So there you go, leave that 30 minutes, let's come back and see how it is. Just a quick look with the epoxy more or less set. I removed the little bits of wood we got in there, preserving the hole for the screw. And all I'm going to do is just slightly flare that, but not too much, because I want it narrower than the screw itself. And what I will do with this is I will split this splint and I'll put a piece right down there just for the screw to grip something extra once this is set. But this is looking really good. It's not super flat yet. We may be able to just shape it a little with the spatula you get with certain epoxies over here in England. And we're just flattening that out. I'm going to sand it anyway. Really quite happy with that. Any of this paper we've still got left on here we're going to remove later. But that is looking pretty good. The reason I've took it off now is if there's any mess there, I can basically get rid of it just by pushing it in with the spatula. It just means to clear up later will be a lot easier. where that area is, for instance, just there. So with that, a little bit of oil and put paid to that. And there you go, and it's all sitting a little proud of a hole. That is not a problem, always has exactly what I wanted. So with that point in the screw in, let's just see how we are going to sit now. A lot better. And I'm just basically lining up where I want this to go. And that's perfect. I've made the indentation of where I need that to go. Just lining it up, checking every angle, and that is beautiful. That's exactly where I want it to be. So I've made the indentation of where that's going to go. I can scrape the rest of these areas off, and it'll be a nice clean area to install the strap pin. So I've had a quick polish and buff using this on the end of my drill, which has boarded up really nice, and I can now refit the strap pin, and all being well, it'll be a nice tight fit. I'm sure it will be. I'm not going to do it super tight just yet. I'm just going to get it where it needs to be. And that looks pretty much bang on. And there you go. I'm going to put any force on that until it's set, but there you go. That is the strap pin fixed and looking wonderful. Just need to do the electrics now, then get the guitar set up. Getting right to the very end of where I need to be with this guitar, and before I put the tremolo and the strings on, I decided to just fill any gaps we have in these frets here, and very tiny amounts or small space. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some rosewood dust, and I've already done the majority of these. Just take a little bit of rosewood dust, and all I'm going to do is just bring it to the areas of the frets that need work. It's just a matter of just dropping over, and these have already been done. I'm just going to and basically the dust will find its level. If it needs to fill a gap, it will fill a gap, and that's it. And all I really need to do is just drop a tiny bit of super glue, if it will let me. Far too much super glue on that bit, but we're not going to worry about that. And just to tidy up these ends. And not all of them are going to need it, because some of them you have the tag right at the end. And that's it, that's as much as I want to do. And anything where there's big drops or big runs of glue, I'm just going to dab with a tea towel or a cloth, like so. And that's it. Run a finger across, and if I just want to tidy it up, I'll take a super fine file and we'll just bring it down. There's a big fly buzzing about this workshop, and it's really getting on my nerves. Anyway, there you go. I'll take some old sandpaper, 1500, and just smooth across. And there you go, that is that side of the neck done. Really can't complain about any of that. Just to soften things up a little. We'll run a little bit of oil down the side there. Just mineral oil for the neck. And just bring that up again to a shine. And that is great. I'm happy with that. Files are nice and smooth, frets are nice and smooth. Could turn it over, do the other side. Once that's done, got to get the tremolo on, and we're going to get the guitar set up. Hey guys, well, we're not finished with this Hamer yet. I do have it strung up. I have a tremolo floating, like so. But one thing I need to check was the height of the nut. This is a new nut, remember, and the height above the strings on the first fret. And here's the story: on the higher strings, we're not too bad. 0.3 millimeters, which is doable on a Floyd Rose system. But here, this side, 0.7 millimeters. That's a gap between the bottom of the string and the top of the first fret. Way too high. So I'm going to have to remove these strings, and I'm gonna file into the nut shelf, and I'm going to remove 0.3 millimeters from this side, nothing from this side, or if anything, maybe 0.1 millimeter from there, 0.4 from there. We're going to get the nut back on and try again. These are a set of old strings I've put on just to do a mock setup. As you can see, I've got the new string retainer bar on there. The thing is, the action on this side is far too much. When we're fingering an F chord, we're going to be too sharp. Probably with an F sharp, we're going to be too sharp. So I need to bring it down definitely this side. No point in getting the router out or doing anything like that, because we do have a radiused fingerboard. So I'm going to do it by hand. With a file or maybe even some sandpaper. I'm going to really take my time, get taped up what I don't want to hit, and I'm going to remove a little at a time and just keep checking. So long-winded process, another job I've got to do. This guitar's had so much work, but there's a couple of little other jobs I've got to do anyway, like check these switches, which I'll do shortly. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm not going to film any more of the work. We're already over 3 hours on this video. I will, however, get the work done. We'll get it all right, and end of the day, it's all about getting this guitar supremely playable. Really happy with the frets, really happy with the fret ends, and I've sealed all the ends there. The guitar looks great. So there you go. Look at the fingerboard, look how smooth that fingerboard is. That was a right state of affairs when I got this guitar, and I took the other frets out and saw all the chips underneath there. But we've got it all superb now. The thing is, we're removing material from the fretboard. We've now got the nut is going to be higher anyway, so need to get that sorted out. So I'm going to crack on with that, get these strings back off, and all being well, we'll get it done first time. So when it came to doing the nut shelf, or preparing the nut shelf for the nut, if you remember in the last part of the video, this side was way too high, this side was just about right, probably a tiny bit high. So what I've done is I've shaved quite a bit off this side, hardly any off this side, and the nut now is sitting a lot better. We're slightly higher on this side, but not to the extent we were before. I think that's going to be absolutely perfect. But how I did that was, I couldn't have gone across with a router because of the radius of the neck. So what I decided to do was just took a block of wood with a flat side, some double-sided tape, and cut a piece of sandpaper and just affixed that, so we can go right up to the edge of the fingerboard without cutting into the fingerboard. And it was just a matter of very delicately going across and just slightly leaning slightly that way, and just being really careful, trying to keep it straight. It's no good pressing it in the middle, because it's going to go like that, it's going to go like that. What you do is, when you're doing something like this, you hold it each side, then you press down, and it's just a matter of being really gentle, going back and forth like so. And that has given us, you can see we removed stuff from the middle, it's given us a nice flat base for the nut. Now, because we've removed a bit of a stain there, all we're going to do is we're just going to take a marker pen and we're just going to colour that back in. I'm not going to lacquer it, I'm not going to put super glue on it or anything, I'm just going to make it look right. And quite a lot of these little chips and dings and dongs that are on this guitar, I mean there are a lot. The last guy really messed this up. It's not the kind of thing I do, the cosmetic stuff. I just get a guitar supremely playable. It's going to look right, it's going to play right, and that is what I'm all about. Finishing, lacquering, painting is not my thing. I've never done it, I don't have facilities, I don't have a room. Something I'd like to get into later, somewhere down the line. Well, I'm going to start building somewhere down the line. But that is not my thing, but I will get your guitar supremely playable. And that, for me, is what it's all about. So, nut back on there. That looks perfect to me. That looks really, really good. So I'm going to get that on. I'm going to do the mock setup with the old strings again. And once I'm happy with that, I may or may not need a shim. I don't know. I do have a pack of all parts shims knocking about somewhere. There they are in the guitar case. Just stuff I bought a while ago just to have in the shop, just in case I ever needed them. So may or may not need those, but that is it. I'm going to, like I say, get the nut on, get the setup done again, and I'm going to have a guitar plugged in, I'm going to have a play, and we're going to see exactly where we are. We're getting right to the business end of this guitar now. It will soon be finished. Hello fret friends, we're getting right where we need to be with this guitar, and we are now ready for setting up. Loads and loads of work done on this. The most important part I've done recently is making sure this nut is positioned correctly. And I've had to file down the nut shelf and shape it to accept the nut properly, but it's all there now. And a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to start my setup. I'll put some new strings on. The owner's preferred strings are these, it's a hybrid set really, well it's a 9.5 44 set, so they've gone on. Not to pitch out, I've got the tremolo blocked off using the trem stopper. And a couple of things I need to do before I start tuning up. Well, one thing I've got to do is I've got to set the intonation yet, but we're going to put on the string retainer bar, and we need to get this all set right. So let's get this in position. And what we need to do is we need this to pull these strings down right on the base of the nut there. So these have got to come down a fair bit. It's not tuned to pitch yet. We'll get that pretty close shortly, but we've got a lot of work to do yet. We've got to get this string retainer bar set. Where does that actually go? Does it go inside there? Hard to tell. I think it does go inside there. So we've got to get this set. We've got to stretch the strings in. I stretch guitar strings a lot, especially with a Floyd Rose. We're going to try and get all of the stretch out of them. So when you bend a note and it goes back to pitch. I think that's enough there, that side. We need this to push down on the strings. Remove my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And that looks pretty good to me. So it's definitely pulling down there. Very strange where that string retainer bar goes there. Pulls that string the opposite way, but got to work with what we've got. So there you go. So we're going to have a look at the tuning. Turn the pickup on and we'll get somewhere. The reason I'm getting close to pitch now is I'm going to set the intonation. I wonder if that string, that should go on the other side of that. So, what I've just done there, I've got to undo. With the B string I'll be alright. The B string needs to come this side. I thought it was the wrong side, it should go inside the screw. I knew it didn't look right, so there you go. No harm done there. That's better. Right, very good. The fact that you're watching this video only this far in, you're going to pretty much know how to set intonation. But anyway, let me explain how we set the intonation. Right, okay, so what we're looking for is the open string, that's an E. Play the harmonic at the 12th fret, also an E, and then we need to play the 12th fret or 12th note fretted. There you go, and that is perfect. That is, the intonation is correct for all 3 points. So that's open B, harmonic, fretted note at the 12. Very good. Chances are this tremolo came off a guitar with the intonation set correctly, which means I don't have to set it, which is brilliant. D. This is an absolute bonus for me. It's a little bit flat. I'll just check the note. That's bang on. So the intonation is perfect. I've not had to touch this tremolo. I do believe this tremolo may well have come off a guitar, a new guitar already set up. So I've not had to touch it. That is such fantastic news. So what I need to do now is I'm going to need to stretch these strings in, and I am going to stretch them, and I'm going to stretch them, and I'm going to stretch them. And once they're stretched, we'll get it back in tune, and we'll put on the locking clamps. And we need to get all of the stretch out of it, and that means when we use the tremolo later on, because we've got all the stretch out, when we use the tremolo, it can always come back to perfect pitch. So I'm going to crack on with that off camera. Once that's done, we can lock these strings down, and that's it. We will be all done. And here we are, fret friends, and we are all done. And wow, what a project this has been. Not the biggest job I've undertaken. There are a couple more spring to mind that were much bigger than this. One was a 1964 Rose Morris Rickenbacker 330 series that I renovated from scratch. That had a fret level, not a fret level, complete refret, lots and lots of work on. And there was another one I did, a Warwick bass, where I removed a non-removable truss rod and replaced that, and straightened a neck that was not only warped, bent and twisted, it was just completely wrong at every angle you could possibly perceive. And I got that perfectly straight and fixed, blah 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 blah. But what a big project this has been, and it's certainly certainly the biggest project I've undertaken in the last few years. And let's try and recap what this guitar has had. Well, it came in needing a refret and a new Floyd Rose fitting. I decided not to remove the original screw posts, the screw type ones for the bridge, and just leave them intact and put everything else on there new. So we have brand new Floyd Rose on there, big brass block, 42mm, gone with 3 springs, 2 on the bass side, 1 on the treble, brand new through body or through neck nut there. Also, the nut shelf needed work because it was totally uneven, and the fingerboard was an absolute. Once I got the old frets out, the fingerboard was a disgrace. There were 63, I believe, chips in there. A few I would have done, but most of them were left from the last refret. I know who did the last refret. I'm not going to divulge who did it, but he certainly is a big name in England. But what an appalling fret job that was. So there's the frets. I went with Sinton's Elite 25% nickel silver fret wire. If you could pause and zoom in, if that's what you want to do, and look at the edges there. I've filled all the edges in with wood dust and super glue. Both sides, this side, that side. We have a trem stopper holding the block, adjustable with a 2.5mm Allen wrench. That will stop this block moving at all. We're in dive bond mode only. The guitar returns right back to pitch. I've tried it, I've played it, and it's just a really nice guitar. A little bit of history here. It's a 1986 Hamer Chaparral. Supposed to be a 24 3/4 scale length. This one is not. I absolutely guarantee that this is a 24.5 scale length. Blah blah blah. I'm going to measure it about 15 billion times. 24.5. There you go. I could measure it anyway. Let's have a look. It's 24.5 inch scale length. Should be 24 3/4. Is this a custom? Looks like it, doesn't it? 23, 24, 24.5, or 620, about 624, hang on. This is measuring about 628 millimeters, something like that. Anyway, what a wonderful thing. What a great guitar. It's in a great blue, dark blue. All the switches working. We have off in the middle, on, push down, out of phase. Well, these two are out of phase, pushed up. Pushed up on this one is split coil. I know that because I've got a wiring diagram that Dave actually sent me. So the guitar is finished. What a fantastic looking thing. It has knocks, dings and dongs all over it. We're not too worried about things like that. There's no back cover plate, but it's had a refret. It looks good. It plays fantastic. I had it plugged in. I was belting some Anthrax out, some Metallica. You can tell I'm from the early 80s, can't you? My style. Some Megadeth and all sorts. What I love these pickups. Slammer Series by DiMarzio for Hamer. Yo Danzig actually replied to my Facebook post about these pickups, assured me that they were Slammer Series, made by DiMarzio. He told me a great story about Gary Moore liking these pickups that much. He asked for 4 new sets, and he said they sound even better than his Peter Green pickups in one of his Les Pauls. You can quote me on that because Yo Danzig sent me that information on Facebook. Go to the Hamer Fan Club or the HFC, the Hamer Guitars USA on Facebook. You'll find the post on there. Thanks for that, Joel. Really appreciate that. And so that's it. It is all done. It's been a huge project. This will be my biggest video to date. My biggest video before this one was a maximum of, I believe, 2 hours, 1 hour 59 minutes. This one has surpassed that by quite a long chalk. 3.5 hours, are we? I don't know. But anyway, my name is Victor. I'm your fret friend. Just before I go, I'll remind you of my websites. You catch me on Facebook at facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. You can also check my webpage at fretfriend.co.uk. As I say, my name is Victor. I'm your fret friend. Until next time, boys and girls, as always, God bless you. Be good to each other, and I will see you next time.